need to take the time and get the full picture.
Oh, yeah, here's the moment you have been waiting for.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Andy's out. Ryan and Brad are in.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Mannie Frey Show.
There's always a difference between us and the Democrats. They use the, as I like to say, the stick and the carrot. They reward you with the carrot, or they beat you over the head with the stick, and that's why they rarely, they always vote in unison, and they never would allow a bill up until they had had all their people whipped into place or bought off legally, I guess, or whichever way they do it. They do it better behind closed doors, and we don't. We're vocal, and I think that's part of our strength. People are going to argue, or they're going to have differences, but I mean, President Trump's the biggest dog in the pound, ma'am, and you can take him on if you want, but the results are always the same.
That is Representative Tim Burchett. Where's he from? Tennessee? Yeah, Brad's nodding yes. So we got a lot of news going on today. This should be a very light day. This is travel day. It's Thanksgiving week. It's one of the reasons I enjoy hosting on a week like this, because it usually is a little bit lighter, but today is not. It is just not. There's a lot of news. And I told Brad right before we opened the microphones, I'm a little overwhelmed by the amount of things that I've had to do deep dives on to make sure that I'm getting all of the facts correct. One of those things I'm going to deliver to you next. If you are interested in election integrity, there is some big breaking news on that front. I shared this on the Mark Cox Morning Show with my hit on Tuesday mornings that I do every week. But if you weren't here for that, stay tuned next, because I'm going to break that out, maybe even a little bit more detail than I was on Mark's show, just because I'm hosting and I have a little more time, a little more leeway here to do whatever I want here on the Mannie Frey Show. Andy will be back tomorrow. But first, like I said, there is a lot of news. And so this deep dive that we're going to do in just a second on election integrity and some of the big stuff coming out about that will be next. But first, Tim Burchett is going to walk us through the day's news. Burchett. I say Burchett. Tim Burchett is going to
Tennessee.
Walk us through all of the news going on, at least according to him. And I said, Brad, let's just, instead of us delivering the big headlines, let's have him do it. He's actually a pretty funny guy.
Yeah, he is.
But I'm realizing after following him, he's also not afraid to go into the stuff that people typically don't do. And that's what I love, is not that, oh, he's quirky. You know, John Kennedy is quirky, but John Kennedy will also call out crap. John Kennedy, though, doesn't necessarily go into some of these topics as much. He will, but it's not what he's known for.
But and John Kennedy uses the quirkiness to disarm you before he surgically destroys you.
Yes. Tim Burchett, right?
Yes, Burchett.
Okay, good. Tim Burchett is just, he's incredibly funny at times, and then he does this, and you go, oh, wow, I didn't know you were capable of that stuff. So let's talk about where we're at with the non-governmental organizations, the NGOs. Here he is talking about that subject.
And Elon Musk had it right. And that's why I think both parties shunned themselves from him, because he said, hey, that was NGOs, and money flows right back to Washington. And he told me, he said, I think it flows in the pockets of politicians. I mean, you had the ranking member of the committee I serve on that went through the bill to defund the Taliban, which, you know, still waiting in the Senate for them to pass it. All kinds of confusion over there. They're fighting over the NGOs. The money, he told me the money flows right from your pockets to the dadgum NGOs. The NGOs, the money comes right back to Washington in the form of dark money and in the pockets of politicians. That's why you're seeing Republicans go squishy on NGOs, because they're shady as hell. They all are. I mean, if you're involved in it, they are. Not everybody up here is. Some of them are just willing idiots. They just go along to get along, so they know that they'll get their crumbs, and they don't really ask where they come from.
Do you think that that's what Elon found, and that's why he was run out of the city?
That's my theory. That's my theory, ultimately. I think he was getting too close. I don't know if he found the specifics yet, but I'd say he was right on it. He was right on it. And then you don't see the media rap, and I know I got to get on. I got to go. I got to get out I got to get to my deal.
Right.
C-SPAN, I apologize. But yeah, that's exactly what happened. I mean, it's money, it's power, and it's arrogance. All those three things is what runs this town.
Here's why I love this guy. Not because of the funny stuff, although he is very funny. It's because he's willing to call out everybody.
Yeah.
He didn't say, oh, this is a Democrat problem. He said, this is an everybody in Washington problem. And if they're not directly on the take, they're downstream from it, and they're just not rocking the boat. And we need more people like Tim Burchett.
It's hard once you get it in your head.
I know, and I've always read it that way, and so I've got to get out of the habit. We need more people calling that out. On that front, like I said, this is walking through the headlines, the news of the day. Doge is reportedly dead. Now, that's what I keep seeing, and people going, oh, look, Doge didn't do anything. They're dead. And then I'm seeing the other side go, no, they're still literally posting stuff right now about what they're doing and finding. So I look at their website and their Twitter and I'm like, they were doing it as of 2 days ago. They were posting stuff. So I don't think that this suddenly stopped, but apparently they've just moved it under a different title. So if you see these headlines, another one where you go, what's real? Nobody really wants you to know what's real. They just want you to know the spin. But the reality is that Doge does still exist. It's just not an independent agency under Elon Musk like it was, because that was the goal, was to give him complete, not anonymity, but free reign to kind of be outside of any sort of particular organization. But they put it under the Office of Personnel Management. So it's not really a centralized entity, but it's also not decentralized anymore. So that's the news on that. Doge is still running. And, we could dive into that topic some other time about whether we think Doge has been a success or not. In some very tangible ways, I would say it has. In others, the expectation was too high, and it hasn't been able to dismantle things. But that's what Tim Burchett is saying right there, is that Elon was probably over the target with all of this stuff. And every angle was just, they put up roadblock. And ultimately, he's a businessman, so he couldn't spend all of his time for the next 4 years just fighting and fighting this. And he had to step out at some point, which we knew was going to happen. But I would love to see somebody take this back on and be the vocal centerpiece for this, like Vivek Ramaswamy was supposed to be originally, whoever that might be, because this is a good cause. And it's still working. It's still going. But if you're going to really get rid of the deep stuff from the deep state, you got to look at NGOs. And before we move on, I've seen this week, for whatever reason, maybe it's related to Doge, maybe it's not, that there are a lot of Democrat influencers who, of course, have an agenda, and there's right-wing influencers that they have their own agenda too, and some of them are direct from campaigns, some of them are influencers because they just get a lot of attention, so it all depends on where their money comes from. But I know the Democrat influencers are, for whatever reason, on this topic right now, talking about how the dismantling of the NGO system has been a tragedy. And that's exactly why these NGOs did it the way that they did, through a charity, or through at least the facade of a charity, so that you would always be able to go, look, they did good work. They were feeding people in Africa, and now that food's going away. And what did you gain from it? Nothing. Well, that's all a cover for what the purpose of it really was, because 90% of the money was going back through these channels that he's talking about there.
Yeah, I mean, like, we look at charities all the time. Like, what percentage of the money donated to the particular charity actually goes to the cause that it's doing, and how much of it is overhead? And there's no reason we shouldn't look at USAID in the same way. How much of the money that the government is giving this is going to actually fix the problem? How much of it is going to administrative costs? And I'm using air quotes if you're listening on the radio. What are administrative costs? Well, they could be anything, including going back to politicians.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, they can track it. There are people online that, if you follow the right people, they are data techs, and they can show you. They can just show you the route that the money goes, because it takes a while to unravel, but they can show you exactly where it goes. They can show you which politicians, and the problem is none of it is technically illegal.
No.
That's why you can't do anything. You just have to shut it down and just point a finger at it and go, you are the the big fat-bellied politician laughing in the back room with a briefcase in a movie. That is who you are now because you are so shady and slimy and all the crap that goes along with politics. You have embraced it. You have said, yes, let's all do this and we'll all be rich. And they are. It's so disgusting.
Yeah.
One other one of the ways that they get rich, according to Tim Burchett, there we go, is by insider trading. Here's him talking about that.
If you're making 600% on your returns, you ought to go to Wall Street and get out of Congress.
Yeah,
and it's
something's up if your trades are beating Warren Buffett.
I make skateboards. Yes, ma'am. I make skateboards, and I gave one to Tulsi Gabbard. Now everybody all over the country wants one. I go talk to ethics about, because I'm a capitalist. I thought, dadgum, I'll sell a few skateboards. I don't sleep at night, so from midnight to 4 in the morning, I work on them. And I go to ethics, and they're like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. So you're telling me if I want to sell skateboards, I got to hire an attorney. But if I want to do insider stock trading, go to Congress. And that is exactly what's going on. Both parties are involved in it. We'll pass something probably pretty strong, and the Senate will pass something different, but we'll never come to an agreement. President Trump and the Treasury have both been vocal supporters of this from day one.
I love it. Again, he's calling out both sides for doing this stuff, enriching themselves at really nobody's direct expense with insider trading. And in fact, I'm going to take a weird angle on this and say that it's actually one of the most obvious ways that Congress is enriching themselves because they have to publish their trades, whether it's through them or their spouses or their family or whatever. They have to publish all that. So if they're doing it off the books, then yeah, that's shady. But if they are publishing it, you actually can watch them do the same thing and make the same trades if you want.
Yeah, there's an app.
There's multiple apps. And I know people personally who have done that and made money off of it. So in a sense, I don't like that they do it. I just don't know how to fix it. And because it's public data, I almost am like, well, then you better know how you're going to fix it, because what you're going to do is you're going to slap a Band-Aid on it, and then they're all going to do it privately instead of publicly. Yeah. And you didn't really fix anything. In fact, you just pushed it into the dark.
One of the counter arguments that I've heard, and this is from a congressman, that said, listen, it is really expensive to live in D.C., he said, and really, you can't really live in D.C. off of the salary that Congress gets. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I know it's a 6-figure salary, and I do know that living in D.C. is really expensive. But he's saying you can't really live in D.C., and the most expensive place to live, I think, is right across the river in Arlington, Virginia. But he's like, you can't really live in Washington, D.C. He said, so if you want to ban stock trading, fine, ban it. But you're going to have to figure out a way to pay politicians so that they can live here to do their thing. And like, I have questions about, well, is that really is that something that we really need to do? Is that under, like, is the expense of living out there one of the driving factors in the ability of corruption to sneak its way in?
Well, there's a lot of money flowing through Washington that shouldn't be there too. So
well, yeah.
it's and you saw the minute they started shutting these things down, house prices also started to drop.
Yes.
So maybe that's a big part of it too.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Tim Burchett, the last thing that I'm going to hit here, because there's just so many, and these aren't, by the way, from one interview. These are just all over the place. That's why I'm like, yeah, this is fun. He's talking about the pardons that Joe Biden issued.
You made a lot of news on our show saying that you believe that there could have been some real payola with some of these Biden
Have
pardons.
to be 8,000 pardons. I said 2,000, and it's come out. Somebody said something
8,000.
8,000 freaking pardons. You think Joe couldn't remember what he'd had for breakfast? He couldn't remember where the dadgum bathroom was. And he reviewed 8,000 files on pardons. Give me a freaking break. This is so shady, and it's just Washington, D.C. It happens every day. That's the thing. It happens all the time. But with Trump in there, we're focusing on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And every department is suspect. And, you just can't get past it.
Every department is suspect. And what's Trump going to be able to do? He's just one guy. He's the president of the United States, so he can do a lot. But he's got to have cooperation, and there's a big beast that he's been trying to fight for a long time. What's he going to be able to do about it? I'm transitioning here. That's a segue to talk about what we're going to do next, which is this big breaking story on election integrity. Again, if you haven't heard this, I'm going to walk you through the kind of 30,000-foot view because it can get very, very bogged down in details. I'll try to give you the kind of the big view of what's happening and the sources. I'll source everything so you know where it's coming from. If you want to dig into it, you can for yourself. Stick around. That's coming up next here on the Mannie Frey Show.
AirComfortService.com. Sweater weather is here. Yay, I love sweaters, but I don't like being cold. That's probably why I love sweaters. It's also why I love Air Comfort Service, because my home is our comfort zone. Because I turned to Air Comfort Service when our furnace went out a few Christmases ago. They installed a new one. Thank you, Corey Malone and the amazing people at Air Comfort Service. But I understand that wasn't like the most exciting thing to find out that our furnace was not functioning. For a limited time right now, Carrier Cool Cash rebates are back. Save up to $2,100 in Carrier Cool Cash on qualifying HVAC equipment. Plus, you can qualify for 0% financing for up to 72 months and tax credits. 55 years of award-winning service right there at your fingertips when you dial 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. Reach out to Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation for your furnace repair for the rebates today. Online at aircomfortservice.com.
When it comes to affordable term life insurance, everyone's whistling the Big Lou tune. If you're over 50, maybe a bit porky, or have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost about $200 a month. Even if you're not in perfect health, call Big Lou, because he specializes in finding big chunks of affordable term life insurance for just about everyone. Don't let diabetes or other health glitches keep you from owning $500,000 to $1 million or more of term life insurance. For affordable term life insurance, call Big Lou. Don't hesitate. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or visit biglou.com.
Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Visit biglou.com.
Sponsored by Progressive. We make the claims process easy so you can get back on the road in no time. It's why over 43 million drivers trust Progressive. See for yourself at Progressive.com.
Smart talk, strong values. This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, I did not pull a bunch of clips from this because there's so much on it that I thought, gosh, we could just do clips for 3 hours on this topic, and it would fascinate and it would probably anger you to some extent. Instead, I'm going to explain it, and here's my sources. One is Laura Logan. You've probably heard her name before. She's been a reporter for multiple outlets and for a long time, but I think she's independent now, and she does a podcast, of course, because she has a big name. She's able to do independent journalism. The other one is Emerald Robinson. She is the former White House correspondent for Newsmax, and she is reporting what I think is a little bit more of a broad view of this, although she dives in a lot of times. And she can be very critical of Trump at times, which I'm always amazed at, to see somebody like that then turn and do a report like this. But here's the way it plays out. First, it starts with Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma, and this is before the 2024 election. This is in October of 2024, so not that long ago. We're not talking about 2020 here, although it is related to all that. We're talking about this recent election, October 2024, going into it. Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma met with Senator David Perdue, if you remember that name. He is the former senator of Georgia, and he's interesting because he's always been considered kind of a moderate. You know, he's swing state, Georgia. He actually lost that election, but he's involved in this story too. Because a couple of guys, actually 3 guys, 2 of which I know their names. One is Patrick Byrne, and the other one is a guy named Gary Bernstein. And Patrick Byrne is kind of a tech guru. Gary Bernstein is a former CIA operative. And both of them, along with a third guy, met with those 2 senators in October of 2024 and presented them with evidence of election fraud, or at least the way that it would play out in the coming election. Now, they walked through 2020 and past elections and actually other nations, and here's how you do it. They basically showed, like, through their tech prowess, how this happens, and their legal prowess, because it involved a CIA guy. And so these 2 senators saw this, and they said, whoa, this is a big deal. And they, Perdue especially, I don't know about Mullin, were skeptics on this topic. So he saw it and went, oh my gosh. And now they have enough clout that they were able to talk to Susie Wiles, who, as you know, is the chief of staff for Donald Trump and was even at that time going into the election. She also is a pretty hard skeptic of election fraud. And so they
Susie Wiles.
Susie Wiles is. They called her in particular because they knew she was a skeptic. And they knew she had access to President Trump, which their senators, maybe they had access to, but they called her for whatever reason, said, you need to look at this. So she did. And she came at it very skeptically and apparently came out of that meeting. And of course, this is all according to these two reporters. I'm giving you their reports. She came out of that meeting and said, oh gosh, probably worse words than that. This is real. We need to show this to the president. Something to that effect. Basically, I've got to show this to Donald Trump. So they did. They went to Donald Trump and said, look at this. They had this whole layout of how the tech works and how the machines and all this stuff and which countries it runs through and all that and how they shave off votes, basically. And Donald Trump saw it. And of course, he's like, well, I've been saying this for 5 years. You know, he wasn't surprised by it, but he was very interested to see the detail with which that they had brought it. But then he also said, apparently, you know, I'm not a tech guy. I believe you, but I don't even know what I'm looking at here. But there's one guy that I trust to look at your data and tell me whether your data is flawed, because that's a big deal. You got to have somebody from that world look at the data and say, yeah, this is real, or no, actually what you're seeing here is blank. It's, yes, it looks like that, but it's not. So he said that one guy that I trust, President Trump said, is Elon Musk. And then so he arranged a meeting. This is still like a week before the election.
Okay.
He arranged a meeting between Elon Musk and these three guys. And they had the meeting. And apparently in that meeting, Elon Musk sat down with them and they started talking. And he goes, shut up. I don't want to hear anything you're saying. Throw me your data. Give me your whole packet and I'll go through it. And so they didn't really meet. He just took their packet from them, walked away, went through it, came back, and apparently told Trump, this is all real.
Oh, boy.
And the way that you can track when this was is there was a rally. Trump said, I'm going to a rally tonight, but I want to hear more. So he went to the rally. Elon Musk was at that rally. And Elon Musk at this rally, which was in Pennsylvania. It was Folsom, Pennsylvania. Okay, I'm pulling this from memory. You can go back to that rally, and you can see it's the first time Elon Musk starts talking about election fraud and voting machines. It's the first time. And then since then, he's not talked about it a whole lot, but he has mentioned it here and there. But that was the first. It was probably because of this meeting. So then they go back and they go, okay, if this is real and it's going to happen, and you can see how it's going to happen, how do we stop it? So they had a meeting with these guys and probably some other tech people, and they said, okay, I think, and this is where I don't really understand it because it gets into such tech that I can't even speak the language. Mm-hmm. So I'll try to give it to you from my very layman's perspective. They made some sort of like counter program to this server that was out of Serbia. Now the money doesn't come from there, according to these two reporters. And Laura Logan, by the way, if you're hearing this and you're going, dang, this is getting pretty deep. Well, hang on a second, because President Trump literally was tweeting about this topic today and retweeted the interview with Laura Logan. So it's not as if this is like from the deep web. This is coming from the President of the United States saying, this is priority number one in all caps for our nation to solve this issue, from the literal interview I'm talking about with Laura Logan. So I'm not like deep dive finding this stuff. This is coming from the president, okay? So anyway, the reverse engineer that they worked on, which whatever that means, they sent that through to that server in Serbia. And they said, you know, like if you listen to the whole podcast, you'll hear more about how this works and why they did it this way and where the money comes from, because it's not Serbia, it's China, it's Iran, it's everybody you'd think of is funding this stuff. So they sent this counter program in, and they had no idea whether it worked. And so they had to just say, we hope it worked. We hope it stopped this system from affecting this election, but we don't know. Or did it stop it just enough in certain areas? Like, that's all stuff beyond my pale. I don't know. But they sent it. And so they described a scene where they're all sitting there on election night at Mar-a-Lago, waiting for numbers to come in, because they could see if numbers are a certain way, it didn't work. If numbers are the other way, it did work. It did work. What they did stopped whatever this program was supposed to do from working on the machines in this election, which is one of the reasons why you saw Donald Trump walk away with a landslide win in the Electoral College, not necessarily the popular vote. He did win the popular vote, but he swept the Electoral College because there wasn't this issue that apparently had existed according to these people in 2020. Now, I'm not going to get into 2020 stuff because that's a completely separate subject. I'm giving you the news that's coming down that President Trump is saying we were able, basically, like he's retweeting this and saying we were able to avoid election fraud in 2024 thanks to these guys.
So the question that I have whenever I listen to you tell me that story, assuming it's true, we've got the what, and apparently we've got the how. Do we have the who?
Yes and no. They can trace it to certain nations. I'm sure they have a real good idea of who's doing this within the nations. If there are people inside the U.S. doing this, then they can be caught. If you're in another country, they're not going to catch them. And we live in a digital world, so you can do a lot of things from a lot of places. You don't have to be on U.S. soil. But I can tell you from listening to this and reading this that whoever they are, there's more than just a handful of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's, according to Gary Bernstein, the CIA guy, he said there's multiple, there's like, in his words, I think it was hundreds of statisticians, mathematicians, and tech people who work together on this stuff.
Right.
So who they are, like who do they represent?
Yeah, when you start talking about hundreds of people working together on it, hundreds of people just don't randomly get together and work on something like this, especially something that could shape the direction of the world and stuff like that. Hundreds of people get together under the direction of a person, a group, or an organization.
Yeah, it sounds like it's foreign actors. So you're talking about nations.
So so we know Donald Trump, we know where he stands on this. Do we know where the left is on this? Any members of the left? Because if it's foreign actors and it's not just the left trying to win, which is kind of what it sounds like you're saying, it's foreign actors trying to throw the elections into chaos. Shouldn't the Democrats be concerned about that? Because then foreign actors might see this as something, whenever they're running a candidate, they might see their candidate as the one they don't want to win, and then they try to push it toward the Republican candidate.
Everybody should be concerned about it. I mean, no matter who you are, no matter what side you're on, you should be concerned about it. The question is, and really one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it, and specifically source where it's coming from. First of all, the President of the United States. And then second, Laura Logan and Emerald Robinson, both of which are journalists, okay? I'm not trying to sort of stir up conspiracy theories. Right. I'm looking at what they're reporting and the people involved. And by the way, here's another reason why I felt comfortable reporting on this. Because one of the guys that she names of the three tech guys, Gary Bernstein is one of them. He did the podcast with Laura Logan.
Yeah.
So it's not as if it's hearsay. He's the one named and he's the one saying it. Patrick Byrne is the other. Now, he didn't do the podcast, but he came out on Twitter and confirmed Emerald Robinson's reporting.
Okay.
So two of the three guys that they're reporting on are the ones giving you this information. And the president is saying, yes. So he would have been at least indirectly, if not directly, connected to those guys. And if it was false, he wouldn't push it out there.
He would know.
He would know because he was there.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, and I'm giving you all these sources because this stuff can get really dicey, and there's a lot of misinformation out there too. Because people will take this stuff and give you they'll throw curveballs in there on purpose to try to make you look dumb based on information that isn't true, and that gets mixed in with everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm just telling you all this because it needs to be reported.
Right. The sources, again, the podcast was
Laura Logan's,
and then Emerald Robinson also did some reporting.
Former White House correspondent for Newsmax. She's independent as well.
So if you are out there listening and you want to know more, that's where I would start if I were you. I would go look at what they have.
I mean, you can look at what the president is tweeting and truthing out on Truth Social as a place to start.
Yeah.
If you want to go from the quote unquote official source, because that's where I I ended up. I didn't start there because I follow some of these people already, and I started looking at it at 2 a.m. because I couldn't sleep for whatever reason last night. And now I'm drinking a lot of soda and trying to get through this whole show so I can deliver this information to you accurately. Hopefully that I've done a good job of doing that, because that's the point. But this stuff, a lot of people are afraid to talk about it. I don't want to be afraid to talk about it, but I do want to properly vet it. And that's why I'm being so careful as to give you where all this is coming from so that you can look it up for yourself. We'll take a short break here and come back, probably do something a little bit lighter, although the YouTube live chat poll today is already a little bit lighter. Going into Thanksgiving week, which is more effective in changing someone's opinion? Love or information? My wife and I discussed this last night. Is it a topic for Thanksgiving? Kinda. Yeah, we'll talk about that next. Stick around.
CityofLaw.com is the website. If you have been thinking about estate planning, trying to get it done, maybe getting the last one looked at, Todd Sivia is waiting for your phone call, and I want to make sure that you know if you drop my name, your initial session, that strategy session at the beginning of your estate planning process, even if it's a review of one that you're bringing to Sivia Law, if you mention Annie when you call 833-995-WILL, that's 833-995-WILL, call and set up that initial consultation with them. That $300 cost of that strategy session, you're not going to have to pay for it. 833-995-WILL. That's the number to call in Missouri and Illinois. If you want to visit one of his offices in Missouri, he's got 2, Wentzville and Creve Coeur. They're waiting for you over there. And in Illinois, a few more, Edwardsville, East Dalton, Swansea, Centralia, even Mount Vernon. So if you call 833-995-WILL, set up your appointment, have your estate plan reviewed, or get on it to start getting the process going so that you are covered. 833-995-WILL. Mention Annie online at CiviaLaw.com.
All righty, we're getting ready to come into winter here, where we're going to be using our furnaces. A lot of you are getting prices now, or you're getting your furnaces checked and you're being told that you have an issue with your furnace and you need a new furnace. So if that is the case and you want a very simple common sense approach to picking a furnace, if that's the case, I'd appreciate you calling and giving me a chance to meet with you and discuss your options. So call me. It's one easy number in Missouri and Illinois. Just one number. Missouri and Illinois. It's 314-293-2600. That's Bart Inman, 314-293-2600, or on the web is bartinman.com. Now there's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
All right, today's YouTube live chat poll. We're going to talk about this next. At least that's what Ryan teased, so we're going to hold Ryan to it.
We'll do it.
Ryan says we'll do it. All right. So the YouTube live chat poll, which is more effective in changing someone's opinion? So we're talking about persuasion here. We got 2 options, love or information. So you can only pick one, and we want you to jump on Annie's YouTube page and vote in the poll, and then leave us a comment telling us why you voted the way you voted. And I might read your comment on air, like I'm going to read Jackie's comment here. It says love, because in today's society, people are more emotionally driven. So if you've got a comment, leave us a comment on the YouTube page, and we might read that on air. The time is 12:37. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Consistently right.
It's a ritual.
97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
I got a condo in Manhattan. Baby girl, what's
On the YouTube live chat, I think it was Libby who said, why would this be a topic at Thanksgiving? Well, I know I'm not telling you go talk about this subject with your family on Thanksgiving. I'm saying it might be an approach to Thanksgiving.
Right.
Not like, let's debate this topic.
Have you ever had the political debate at Thanksgiving?
Not really. I think our family has decided at some point that we would not talk politics around mixed company. Like, if I know where somebody's coming from, I might have a discussion about something with them. But
so back in 2020, during the George Floyd riots and thereafter, there was conversation that arose, and it wasn't a big gathering. I mean, it was mainly my immediate family that arose, and so we had disagreements over everything that was going on and stuff like that. And it was over that same kind of thing: is it love or information that matters? And so I have been, and like I wasn't seeking it out. But when bad information came out, I couldn't let wrong information just go out there.
So I was talking about that subject last night with my wife when we went on our date. I mentioned this on the air yesterday. We went on a date last night. And I said, I'm thinking about this for a poll question tomorrow. What do you think? Which is more effective in changing someone's opinions? Love or information? And she had a hard time answering that question, which is the point. I'm like, okay, then that means it's a good poll question.
Yeah.
Because if it was really obvious, then it wouldn't be. And ultimately, she said, it's got to be love. It's probably love. And a lot of people agreeing with that. Some don't. Here's Joe saying on our chat here, love, 100%. And if you voted information, then you're wrong and you suck. I can feel that love. Here's a different Joe saying, I can put love in your ear and it most likely won't switch you to my side. So he's information. Damon says, definitely love. And then another here from Ender says, I think the only answer should have been emotion. The other answer should have been emotion, not love. But I took it as emotion, and that's my choice. Especially these days, information doesn't go as far as it should. We won't give you necessarily our answers on this yet. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But I will tell you that because of this conversation, a weird thing happened at our date last night. I went straight from work here to the eye doctor. I was going to make an appointment because it's the end of the year. I'm trying to use up all my benefits. And I haven't been to the eye doctor yet this year. So I went to my eye doctor, and the office was shut down, and it was like boarded up. And I went, uh-oh.
It's boarded up.
I mean, it's out of commission.
Plywood over the window.
They're saying, we are not here anymore. And I thought, uh-oh. How am I going to do this? Because whenever I call this place, they just don't get back to me very quick. So I tend to go there and just make the appointment so that they can't ignore me. And that's probably not a great eye doctor. I get that. So I was going to switch
Maybe
anyway.
that's why it's boarded up.
Yeah, they went out of business. They weren't calling people back. But I went across the street to this other place I'd never been to, and I said, look, I just realized the other one is closed. I'd like to make an appointment here, although I'd be a new patient. And they said, okay, when would you like to try to make an appointment? And I said, I don't know. I just, next few days, I'm going to be out of town for Thanksgiving, but maybe after that. And she said, well, how about in 10 minutes? I was like now? Yes, okay. I will take the appointment right now. So I saw that eye doctor at that moment, and that was great. I mean, how fast the service was that?
Yeah.
But then because of that, the date got started late. So I said, well, I got to get this in because I don't know when else because I'm going to be traveling and all that. So I started that process, got done, went home, and then we went out to eat, but we were already starting late. And to see The Running Man, we would have had to have been done with dinner by a certain time, and we were like looking at the clock going, oh, it's not going to work. So we ended up not seeing, after the whole thing discussion yesterday, we ended up not being able to see The Running Man.
Oh, man.
And I really want to see that movie.
I was very because I was super curious about what you thought of that movie, and I was disappointed today when I asked you. He was like, so how'd it go? And he's like, funny story.
Yeah.
Because I went home and I asked my wife of those three movies, and I knew that she wouldn't want to.
And by the way, they were Wicked,
Right.
Now You See Me, Now You Don't, and Running Man were our three options.
Yeah, I asked her about which of those three movies would you want to see, and she said, well, I'd want to see Now You See Me, Now You Don't, and I want to see Running Man. So I will probably be taking my wife to the movies a couple times coming up.
Okay. Well, there you go. And Wicked was not even on her. She wouldn't mind seeing Wicked because we were joking on the air. Like, I hope she doesn't pick that one because I know she wants to see it, but she knew that I was seeing it with her. And so she was kind enough to say, there is no way we're going to see that because I know you don't want to.
My wife has no desire to see that movie either. Because whenever I don't know, I told you on air, or I told you guys on air yesterday that like I got 12 minutes into the first one and I was like, all right, I'm done. Mm-hmm. And so whenever I did that, my wife's attitude was, yeah, this is dumb. So she doesn't want to see the follow-up either. We don't care to watch the first one to know what's going on that got them to where they are. So we will probably never go see either Wicked movie.
I mean, Mark Cox was on the show yesterday by phone, and he said, yeah, well, it's based on Wizard of Oz. And it strikes me every time somebody says that because I forget that Wicked is based on the Wizard of Oz. That's how little I know about it.
It's Glinda the Good Witch, and is she the Wicked Witch of the East?
She's one of the Wicked Witches.
Because I don't know how Elphaba's story ends. Is she the one that the house falls on or the one that gets splashed with water? Spoiler alert, but that movie was released in like 1938.
That's the Wicked Witch of the West.
The West gets the water.
So I think this is the East?
The East gets the house dropped on her.
I think this is the story of her and Glinda. It's an origin story. Some people have watched this. Obviously, it's a popular movie. It's a popular story. It's been a Broadway show for a long time. Somebody listening to this is just rolling their eyes.
Yes.
Because we're that out of the loop.
There's a bunch of angry theater kids right now listening to this
and
show.
that's fine. You just be angry. Sorry. But,
touch grass.
But weird way around to say that I love stories that are based on other stories and doing adaptations and stuff. But I just don't have any desire to see this one. And Frank L. Baum, people complain a little bit online. They're like, well, him and his estate, they don't see a dime from this. Well, because it's not copyrighted anymore.
No.
That's the point. That's why Wicked was made.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at Wizard of Oz and you can go, that story is not copyrighted. Now, there are aspects of the movie that are copyrighted, like the ruby slippers.
Okay.
You can't use those in other works because there are no ruby slippers in the book. They're silver.
Oh, so whoever is it, MGM or whoever owns the movie?
Yeah, but they don't own things like the balloon. They have a weird right over Emerald City because in the book, Emerald City is not actually made of emerald. The whole joke of the book is that the Wizard of Oz makes all of his subjects wear emerald-colored glasses.
Yes,
and so it looks like emerald even though it's not. But in the movie, it's emerald.
Yeah. The whole book is about getting away from the gold standard and how when you get away from the gold standard, bad things will happen.
Isn't that funny?
It's amazing. And so to fool them, everybody has to wear the emerald-colored glasses.
Yeah, that's part of it.
If you haven't figured it out, emerald is green, and green is supposed to represent just the paper money.
Mm-hmm. It's great. I mean, it's really good when you look into it. Last thing about it with the book, by the way, the Tin Man became a Tin Man, and they don't give this backstory in the movie, of course, because he's out there cutting down timber one day and he cuts off his arm or something.
Oh, no.
And he goes, oh, no, now I have to have a replacement arm. So he makes a metal arm for himself. And then he's out there chopping wood again and he cuts off his other arm. So he has to make another metal arm. Then he cuts off his leg and he has to make a metal leg. He does it to both of them. Then he cuts off his head accidentally and he has to make a metal head. And then he cuts off his body or something like that. Like, it's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole book is like. I mean, that's why it's kind of goofy.
It's mechanization and industrialization and the replacement of man by machinery.
Oh, you've really looked into this.
I know what I'm doing.
Wicked doesn't do any of that.
It's a musical.
As far as we know, we've never seen it, and we're not planning
the 12
on it.
minutes of it that I've seen. It's all musical.
Well, that was supposed to be a conversation about the poll. I guess we have to come back later and talk more about that. But in the meantime, we got Wiggins America coming up next. Brad's going to host Wiggins America in the next segment instead of Ethan, so we won't have his fun open. Sorry about that. But stick around. We'll be right back.
If you want it, take my wallet. If you want it now, jump in the Cadillac. Girl, let's put some miles on it. Anything you want.
This is absolutely the season to go and get a great steak, Andrea's Steakhouse. Now, I haven't looked to see if they still have spots open for this Wednesday, but if they do, that's a great way to go and just enjoy the day before Thanksgiving, not having to clean up and, all the stuff that goes along with having a big meal with your family, because families get together and then you got to clean up. And I guess that's part of it on Thanksgiving, but you don't have to do that on Wednesday. Check out Andreas.com, see if they have any slots open for your family to come and dine with them tomorrow night. Gosh, that's not even that far away. But if not, let's say your slots are full, or you're not able to, or you've already got plans, get the best steak you're ever going to have in your life. Go to Andreas, and Andreas.com will show you pictures of these things, but they won't do it justice. You have to taste it. You have to experience the ambience of the restaurant, which is just phenomenal. It's like walking into a different world. I don't want to say it's like when I walk into a theme park, because it's not like that, but you just feel transported into a different place. And that is part of Andreas. It's a whole experience. So do it for yourself. Have one of their amazing steaks. Visit them at Andreas.com.
Hey, it's Mark Cox. Let's support our first responders. Enter Responder Rescue's ATF raffle. Prizes include top shelf bourbon, a lit cigar lounge VIP night, and a CZ P10 pistol from the range. Text Responder to 33100 to enter today.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh.
Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Wiggins!
Oh, Wiggins!
Well, it's not Wiggins America today. It's actually Range World.
I don't know.
Something like that.
You haven't made me an awesome, terrible open.
I know, and I keep meaning to do that.
But I do these so rarely.
You do. And today, Ethan's just a little overwhelmed because he's doing a lot of production work for Reardon with Fred being out. So we said, all right, well, let's have Brad do it. And here's the thing. Brad has been pitching this story to me for 2 or 3 days, and we didn't get to it yesterday.
It's just Tuesday, and it's been since Monday.
Okay, that's 2.
It's one
Give me
day
credit.
and today.
I maybe lengthened that a little bit. Made it sound better. But
well, it didn't happen until Sunday.
But anyway, he's been pitching this story for 2 days, and we didn't get to it yesterday. And I said, okay, let's get to it today, but let's do it for Wiggins America. So I don't know anything about this. I just know that it's pretty interesting and that you've been diving into it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to me because it's kind of an old story that has since resurfaced. Do you remember the Slender Man stabbings from back in 2014?
Yes.
So it was the 2 12-year-old girls that lured another 12-year-old girl to a sleepover, and then they took her out in the woods and stabbed her 19 times as an offering to Slender Man. Slender Man was a video game, and also it's like a popular kind of American
it's like
folklore, tall tale,
but
kind
also
of thing.
Very creepy and possibly demonic or something.
Yes, yeah. So it was that story, that thing, that meme, if you will, was going around big time in there. And so what people were doing was like they would find old-timey looking photos and they'd crop a picture of this Slender Man who's supposed to be like this tall, kind of uncanny looking man with no face.
Yeah, he's real gaunt and
long. Yeah, so it was like a man, but also not. You would look at it.
It was
a
a trend. I remember the trend.
And they would put him in the backgrounds of these photos, these old-timey photos, and be like, look, they caught Slender Man in this photo and all this other stuff. Well, these 12-year-old girls got really into it, and they ended up thinking he was real, so they invited this other girl over, stabbed her 19 times as a sacrifice to the Slender Man.
Dude, how messed up.
It's super messed up. Now, the little girl that they stabbed 19 times, she ended up surviving. These girls were...
I didn't know that.
Arrested. There was a big trial over it. So she survived. They're arrested. Attempted murder. They got 40. Well, this particular one that I'm going to talk about today got 40 years in a mental health institution.
Wow.
So she's supposed to be locked up in a mental health institution. Well, you know how that goes with probation and stuff like that. And so she was well behaved, and she ended up in a group home. It's still a mental health institution, but it's not like a prison one. It's a group home. And she had an ankle monitor. Well, on Sunday at 3 o'clock, she went missing.
So it couldn't have been before Sunday at 3 o'clock that you were pitching the story to me.
Right, absolutely not. So she went missing on 3 o'clock. I remember I was preparing for youth group, and I got the alert on my phone. I was like, oh, I haven't seen this story in a long time. It's like, well, she's missing. And so I looked into it. She's in Madison, Wisconsin is where this took place.
How old is she now?
23.
Okay.
So she's 23 years old. So she went missing, and like there was a big manhunt underway, you know. Apparently the Madison police didn't find out for 12 hours that she was missing, so the group home didn't report it. Eventually at, I believe it was 10-something p.m. that night, Sunday night, they did end up finding her and arresting her 200 miles away from the group home in Illinois. And I told you, like, because you were like, oh, that's kind of an interesting story, but maybe not like real long talker or something like that. Today I got an update on the story about why she ran away.
Okay.
And this person's name is Chad, but Chad goes by Charlie Mecca, who is 43 years old, is a transgender male to female transition.
Living
person.
as a female?
Yeah, living as a female. He said that I'm the reason she ran away. Apparently these two had developed a relationship online, And the group home was like, this person is not good for you. You cannot talk to them anymore.
Okay.
And so they cut her off. And I don't know if he came up and helped her because he was arrested as well. But he was part of the deal. I'm why she ran away. He's being arrested and as an accomplice to help her escape. And so he went up to Madison, Wisconsin, from wherever he is in Illinois. I never did find the town. But he was found with, Posen, Illinois. He was found with her in Posen, Illinois, and he told the local news there and the police that she ran because of me. He was issued a citation for criminal trespassing, obstructing identification, and he claimed that Geyser, who is the girl, fled the group home because she was being banned from seeing him. And she sobbed like they'll take away our visitation. Please, you're my best friend, he said on the phone call as she fled. And she's already made it clear that if I didn't go, whether or not she was still going, and she was going to go back to jail. And I know what that means. So it sounds like this person aided and abetted her, didn't want her to go back to prison.
But they're all caught.
But they are all caught. They're all back. So she's probably going back to prison now.
Well, this isn't a well thought out position because I haven't heard the story, so I'm just hearing it for the first time with you. But is it possible that we could have a discussion about what prisoners are allowed to do online in prison? Because there is a very real sense, and we just lived through this in COVID, that you can live, what would you say, 80% of your life from your home.
Yeah.
Like we literally did this show from our house for over a year.
Yeah.
Because we were told we had to. Not that we wanted to, but we had to by the company. Everybody was going home. You're going home too. We're going to set you up from home. Everybody's going to do their shows at home. So most of us did. Now, the producer at the time, Katie, she came in. But aside from that, me and Annie and Katie, we were not in the room together for almost a year. I think maybe one time we happened to meet up for some reason during COVID, but it was rare. Maybe one of us would see another, but not all three of us. So it's just a weird world in that we've proven that you can live a vast majority of your life from a room if you really had to.
Yeah.
And that's what a prisoner is doing. If they're in a nice facility, is it really punishment? Because the whole purpose is that you're being punished for a crime.
Now, in her case, though, remember, she's in a group home for mental illness. So it's like,
not prison,
it's
you're
not
right.
prison anymore.
And that's why I said this isn't necessarily a fully thought through position.
I think you've got a good point here because you can do so much with your life from there. Like prison, like the part of prison used to be kind of the isolation.
Why are we giving all of these luxuries to prisoners? We've gotten to the point where nothing we do is really much of a deterrent. Everything is kind of about comfort.
Comfort and rehabilitation, and they've lost the deterrence part of it.
Exactly. All right, Jim Carafano coming up next. Apparently there's a Ukraine peace deal that's at least been leaked. We're going to ask him if there's any truth to that.
HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com. Reach out to Matt Hayes and find out what you need to know about solving the basement water problem once and for all. If you have that pit in your stomach that forms, you see the forecast or you hear, we haven't had a whole lot of rain this year, but then once it happens, once it hits, you're just running to the basement, trying to make sure that everything is going to be okay that you have down there. How much of your basement are you not even using because water gets into it? Or have you noticed an effect on the actual foundational walls that exist in your basement because maybe water is making its way, as it is apt to do, through the foundation of your walls that is deteriorating? And how much is it deteriorating? You don't even know. Matt Hayes can tell you. He can know, but he's got to see it first. So schedule him to come out and assess your situation. 314-227-9636. 314-227-9636. Reach out to Matt Hayes directly and have him come see what you got going on. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life. your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago politician Dick Durbin. Now, Durbin has a new scheme. He's doing the dirty work to benefit corporate megastores. Durbin's bill could cut corners on your credit card security, putting your personal data at risk. Big chain retailers and warehouse stores want to inflate their profits, and liberal Dick Durbin would help them do it. Tell senators, say no to the megastores and Dick Durbin. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Your one blood donation can help save the lives of others. That's why the American Red Cross needs you. This holiday season, give something that means something. Make a difference in the lives of others by rolling up your sleeve and donating at the Odyssey Blood Drive in partnership with the American Red Cross from December 16th through the 19th at multiple locations. Make an appointment in the Red Cross Blood Donor app or at redcrossblood.org and enter sponsor code Odyssey for a drive near you.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
The president thinks they can get to a deal. Elisa Brady, Fox News. A deal aimed at ending the war in Ukraine.
I think we're getting very close to a deal. We'll find out.
Both U.S. and Ukrainian officials reporting progress after weekend meetings in Geneva, where Secretary of State Marco Rubio worked on paring down some remaining issues in a peace framework proposed by President Trump. Ukrainian officials say they now agree with the core terms.
In Europe, a coalition of the willing meeting has been taking place, countries planning for post-war Ukraine.
There is finally a chance to make real progress toward a good peace.
French President Emmanuel Macron, still no confirmation Russia is ready to agree.
Fox's Jonathan Savage just getting word that Secretary of State Rubio joined that coalition of the willing meeting by video call for the first time. President Trump's comments on Ukraine coming during the annual turkey pardoning event at the White House.
It's a great time of the year, and our country is doing really well economically like we've never done before.
He says his administration is making great strides to make America affordable again, which Democrats in Congress dispute. Anyone hitting the road for Thanksgiving will pay about the same for gas as last year. The AAA average for today, $3.05 for a gallon of regular.
That despite the change in energy production and energy prices, 13.7 million barrels a day pumped the last month we've got data. And that not only is a record in the U.S., but an all-time record in the history of Earth.
Fox's Business's Jeff Flock at a gas station in Philly. The cheapest gas price in the country right now, $2.49 a gallon in Oklahoma. Record air travel expected this week, but some weather disruptions possible.
A lake-effect snowstorm is expected to sweep across the Midwest and the Northeast. We spoke to some travelers right here in Dallas who said it was smooth sailing today after severe storms hit Texas Monday.
Fox's Brooke Taylor. America is listening to Fox News.
Bad breath is a confidence killer. You can have the best outfit, the sharpest resume, the funniest jokes, but if your breath smells like the food you just ate, that's all people remember. It's not your fault. Bad breath often comes from your gut, and most regular gums and mints just cover it up. That's like spraying perfume on dirty laundry. It doesn't solve the problem. That's where Zellman's Minty Mouth comes in. Zellman's is not just another mint. Zellman's tiny dual-action capsules are coated with powerful, delicious mint and filled with parsley seed oil, clinically tested to fight the toughest offenders. Garlic, onions, coffee, even smoker's breath, all handled. With Zellman's, you get the confidence of fresh, clean breath that lasts for hours, because your breath should be as fresh as your food. Zellman's is only available online, so go to Zellmans.com, that's Zellmins.com, and use code FRESH for 15% off your first order. That's Zellmins.com, with code FRESH for 15% off your first order today. Backed by a 100% love it or your money back guarantee.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our holiday week continues, and we do have some sloppy weather returning, but we've got clouds and some sun this afternoon, upper 50s, partly cloudy, windy, and cold tonight. Northwest winds return 37. Wednesday, sunny, windy, and chilly, 46, but it's going to seem colder. 29 Wednesday night. Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, sunny and 45. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Don't freeze as it gets colder. If your furnace isn't working, Air Comfort Service can get you back in your comfort zone fast with a service call for only $99. Get your furnace serviced. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Oh, yeah, it is the moment you have been waiting for.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Annie's out. Ryan and Brad are in.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Mannie Frey Show.
Moments ago, we are learning into CNN from a U.S. official that Ukraine has agreed to a peace proposal with Russia, saying only, quote, minor details are outstanding. Now, this as Ukraine's President Zelensky, though, says that more work needs to be done. Adding to the nuance here, in a post on X, Ukraine's National Security Secretary writes that the delegations had, quote, reached a common understanding on the core terms of the agreement discussed in Geneva.
All right, so this is breaking news. Fox News chief national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin has the latest on the talks to end the war in Ukraine. Ukraine has agreed to a peace deal, she says, that would see an end to the war with Russia, a U.S. official told Fox News. Some minor details of the agreement are still to be sorted out. The official says a residential building is... this is going through a lot of detail that is unnecessary, but we'll jump to the important stuff here. A spokesperson for the U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll has told Fox News that Driscoll and his team met with Russian officials in Abu Dhabi on Monday and Tuesday to discuss the framework for a Ukraine peace deal. What I'm not seeing is whether or not Russia is involved in this negotiation, in these talks at all. You have to have one side agree to a framework. So this is work in that direction. But whether or not this is the final thing is questionable. I'm seeing details kind of being leaked out on Twitter right now, and mostly from people who are very critical of it, and then people pushing back and going, well, who caused this? It wasn't President Trump. He's doing his best to end it, even though it has only kind of loose bearings on our national security. He just wants to end it because he hates watching constant war and death and civilians losing their lives. And that's admirable. But whether this actually is the end, we still don't know.
Yeah. I look at this situation like I want it to end. I look at this, I'm no foreign policy expert. This is just my average Joe producer looking at this thing. And I look at it, and I know that there are people out there saying that you cannot reward Putin for being aggressive and invading. That is true. But the only way that you can punish somebody for doing something wrong, like, for example, you look at the Nazis and them doing all their invasions and stuff like that, you look at that and they say, well, we defeated them completely. Yes, that was an unconditional surrender. But what that took was an allied effort from the United States, France, or what was left of France, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union fighting the Axis powers. So the Allies had to come together and fight the Axis powers, and it was a world war, and it cost a lot of American lives to do that, to come to absolute victory. So when you look at Ukraine, Ukraine is not strong enough to push Russia out on their own. They can fight them to a stalemate with, our weapons and our support, but they're not able to push them out. So if you think that Russia should be defeated, absolutely, they should not gain anything territorially, then you have to say, well, you have to be able to push them completely out of Ukraine and then call for a ceasefire then.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that? I'm not willing to put American boots on the ground.
We've already given them a lot of resources and money.
Right.
And a lot of that money has not been used properly, and it it's proved over and over and over again that people were funneling that money to other things and separately, and sometimes they were just buying yachts with it, and sometimes they were using it for illicit purposes. But regardless, that money was spent. That's gone. And what you're saying, I really do understand. The point that you're making, I think, is that there are people who say Russia should not be rewarded for what they did at all. And I'm one of those people.
They are correct.
They're correct. But you also, I approach this from buying houses. I do this all the time. Yes, you can't necessarily, you don't want to pay this amount for a house because you saw somebody bought that house for $50,000 and now they want $100,000 and they only put $20,000 into it, but the market's changed. You can't buy it based on what it was. Jim Carafano is here to talk about this topic specifically with Ukraine. Jim, thanks for being here today. Give us the update on what's going on with these Ukraine peace deal talks.
Yeah, so I was saying it's kind of like putting on a blindfold and then trying to watch a poker game. I don't think just kind of listening to what's in the media and all the back and forth and the punditry and even the announcements really tells you very much. I think that's probably a bit frustrating for folks. Here's what I can say, because having talked to a lot of Europeans and Ukrainians who are actually working with the U.S. government, there is enormous appreciation that President Trump wants to stop the war and he wants to preserve Ukraine. And there's actually, I think, been very constructive dialogue on getting to a position where we can secure Ukraine that is free and independent and that can defend itself. Not a perfect solution, but one that gives the Ukraine a promise of a future, much in the way that when the war ended in 1945, Western Europe had a promise of a future. But the question is when and will Putin make a deal? And we'll know that when he does it. I think all the posturing and everything else that we're seeing, it doesn't really tell us very much. It's not how the Russians actually do that. They telegraph these things. And so that's kind of where we are. I know it seems very uncertain for people, but that's the reality of the current place that we're in.
Jim, are we in a place as a country, or I should say, is the president in a place where we're actually able to push them into something, Ukraine, into something that they don't want to do? Because that's the criticism I'm seeing, is that, well, Ukraine doesn't really want to do this, but we're just so strong that we can strong arm them into getting our way.
Well, one is no, and two is we're not doing that. And three is we're not going to force Ukraine into a place where Ukraine is indefensible and it has no future, because in the end, that's against our interest. So is it difficult to find a deal that we think is workable? Yes. Has the president thrown a lot of different people at it who admittedly all have kind of different ideas? Remember, for example, it was leaked, it was a 28-point peace plan. Well, now that's actually been reduced to, according to reports, to a 19-point plan, which, by the way, has the consensus of the Europeans and the Ukrainians. So it's easy when you're a pundit to sit back and pontificate, but I think the reality is Ukraine, Europe, and the United States are on a common agenda trying to preserve Ukraine and end the conflict. Is it pretty? Is it perfect? No. But is there a unity there of purpose? Much the way allies disagree with a lot of things in World War II, but was there a fundamental unity of purpose? And my answer is, I think, yes. Look, the reality is Putin's plan was to conquer Ukraine, humiliate the West, and make it indefensible. That is not going to happen. So, regardless of how this thing ends.
Okay, so what does Putin need now? What does he have to have for a ceasefire or peace agreement to happen?
I don't know. I mean, the Russian answer is always easy. They want one thing more than you're willing to give them, right? I mean, the Russians,
right.
That's just what they always want. But the question is what will Putin say? I don't know. And this is an assumption that he'll accept a peace deal. Look, I've always said, if Putin is struggling, he can always slow down. He can always stop bombing things, take a pause. He doesn't need a peace deal to do that. So, and then he'd go back and start fighting later. So the presumption is we're going to find a magic thing that makes Putin accept the deal. The reality is that may not exist. And then the alternative is we're going to walk away and abandon Ukraine? Not, because that's not our interest. I mean, if it was as easy as just saying, well, if I can't get a peace deal, I'm just going to ignore everything and just leave, Trump would have done that a year ago. But obviously he is committed to this because it's in America's interest to see a free and independent Ukraine that can defend itself. And I actually think he's put the United States in a very strong position where we're not putting U.S. interests at risk in doing this. So I know, it's like a guy, you're down 6-3 or whatever at the, Game 7 of the World Series, and you're sitting in the stands and everybody else is on, pins and needles. But I think we're in good shape here. I really do.
Jim Carafano, Senior Counselor to the President E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation, among many other things, of course. That title is not long enough, by the way. Let me ask you this before we run out of time. Is President Trump, because I'm seeing this criticism from the right, really more even than the left, but sometimes on the left, that he's not focusing enough on his domestic agenda. And, maybe it's just the news cycle, but is he able to do all these things at the same time? Because it seems to me that, he hasn't really changed anything, but the optics are just what needed to change.
Yeah, well, the people say he hasn't focused on the domestic agenda. I think that's just a talking point. I mean, I don't think it's true to reality. I mean, we've seen he's had this enormous capacity to both operationalize on foreign policy and domestic policy. But the reality is look at everything that the left has thrown at him, from shutdowns through, a zillion court deals and whatever. The reality is his poll numbers are as strong as they've ever been. His plan for the economy is as good as it's ever been. I think both internationally and domestically, we are on a positive trajectory. And there's a lot of bluster out there. I get all that, but I think if you objectively look at the numbers, his presidency, just both domestically and internationally, is the strongest we've seen since Ronald Reagan.
Last question for you: do you see if the Supreme Court were to take away the president's power to sort of tariff unilaterally or easily, depending on how they rule on that, do you see that having a major impact on Trump's foreign policy and his taking away a tool in his tool belt? Is he going to struggle?
Yeah, well, in the end of the day, they can't take away part of the president's tariff powers. It's just, they just can't do that because it's actually in law. But the president, I think, is in such a strong position internationally. Look, a lot of countries know when they've been cutting these deals, and they know that some of these authorities might get thrown out by the court. But they're cutting the deals anyway. And the reason for that is because they recognize the importance of the economic relationship with the U.S. and to get that right. I mean, I talked to, I won't say who, but I said, one guy was with me. He's explaining how all these things are going to get thrown out. And he looked back at this guy and he said, we don't care. We want to make a deal with America and get on with business. That's more important to us. So I think I don't think it's going to be the end of Trump's ability to pressure folks on foreign policy, on trade deals.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and thank you so much for your time this week, especially going into Thanksgiving. You have a happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to you again this time next week.
I hope everybody has a great Turkey Day, and everybody's safe. Thanks, buddy.
All right, take care, Jim. Jim Carafano, he is from the Heritage Foundation. He is the E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation. We're going to take a short break and come back and update you with a little bit more about the James Comey, Letitia James situation and where that lawsuit or where that indictment, the whole case on both of them, may be headed. We've got a little more update for you from yesterday. So we'll bring that to you next, as well as, I'll tease this. This is 2 segments away, though. Dennis Prager. So I had him on my weekend show a while back. And right afterward, you may know this already, he got very, very ill, almost passed away. And I hung on to this interview, played it right then, didn't know that was going to happen. But I hung on to this because I kept waiting that he would get better. And he's recovered. He's obviously still with us, but he's still in really bad shape. But this was an interview I did with him about God and about his beliefs. And I just thought it's a good day to play this. So we're going to play what could be, I've told Brad, could be actually one of the last interviews, maybe the last interview he ever did. I don't think he's really capable of doing long-form talking at this point. We'll do that in this hour here on the Mannie Frey Show. Annie will be back tomorrow, and we'll be right back.
Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. He's the call you've been wanting to make, or maybe he's the call that you've been afraid to make because then you've got to talk about that high interest credit card debt you're facing and you just don't want to say it out loud. Okay, I understand that. Stewie is ready to hear you and give you the out that you've been looking for. Listen to me closely. You can trust Stewie. It's a very discreet process that you can go through, but maybe you have a bit of equity sitting in your house right now. And if you were to consider a cash out refinance on your home using the bagel loan, which means that you refinance your home at no closing cost fees to you, you could potentially get rid of that high interest credit card debt with a bagel loan refinance and start the new year off right. Does that sound like a breath of fresh air for you? It's absolutely worth a phone call, the text message. Reach out to Stewie and tell him Annie sent you and ask about the bagel loan. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
Sponsored by Progressive. We make the claims process easy so you could get back on the road in no time. It's why over 43 million drivers trust Progressive. See for yourself at Progressive.com.
Annie Frey is back because truth doesn't take a break. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Lindsay Halligan has shown time and time again that she has overwhelming evidence that James Comey lied to Congress about his involvement in Crossfire Hurricane, the biggest scandal in American history. We've seen the evidence. She's produced it in response to James Comey's various motions to try to derail this prosecution. The evidence is overwhelming, but we do have Democrat judges in this courthouse in the suburbs of Washington, D.C., who seem to be going out of their way to protect James Comey and to try to kick this case. Lindsay Halligan is doing everything appropriately. We've looked at the evidence. We've looked at the transcripts. And if this judge kicks this case on for whatever grounds he comes up with to kick this case, that will be appealed. But James Comey will face accountability, whether it's in the Eastern District of Virginia or the Southern District of Florida.
Man, I read some stories about this yesterday, just looking for a mainstream outlet that would report what the charges are against Comey, mainly because you understand the Letitia James one. That's mortgage fraud. It's very, very obvious that she deliberately, you could say, well, maybe she didn't know. Of course you know. You're cheating your taxes. You're saying that this place is my primary residence when it's not, and therefore you get a tax break that you shouldn't have gotten. That's this type of mortgage fraud anyway. And that's not even what Trump did. He overvalued his assets to the bank. And allegedly, and then was told later that you can't do that, that's illegal. even though it's a private transaction and the bank approved it. And by the way, if you've ever gone through the process of getting a loan, the bank just doesn't go, oh, you want to buy something? Here's a check.
Yeah. How much do you say it's worth?
You tell us. We're not going to do any assessment
they
of
don't
the building.
send any assessors out at all.
So but we're assuming that you've bought a house or literally anything ever using a loan to know that that isn't the way it works, and the bank was fine with that valuation, but Letitia James wasn't fine with that valuation.
Well, neither was the judge.
Whatever that judge's name was, I can't remember, but which is good because that judge just wanted to be remembered. Mm-hmm. That was his claim to fame.
Oh man, the valuation that he put for Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, it was insane.
Yes.
It was like a tenth of what it was when he bought it.
Yeah.
Let alone now, after he's put all the improvements into it, and he's the president of the United States, one of the most famous places in the world.
I believe it was low for even if it was just property in that location.
Oh, yeah.
With nothing on it.
It was insane.
Got it.
So anyway, point being that back to James Comey, Letitia James, that one's very obvious. And she clearly screwed up. Now, whether it was a big screw up, like she probably gained about $10,000 to $15,000 on her taxes. And that's illegal. You can't do that. Yeah. And so nobody would have gone after her except that she made up a fake case. And now she's got to deal with the same crime, like the same category of crime.
Right.
I mean, it's not even different.
Which is ironic and delicious.
It's just amazing.
But like what the judge said, right? It wasn't the merits of that case that the judge threw this out, right?
Right. So with Comey, it was dismissed without prejudice, as in the case is fine. I just have an issue with the person who brought it, which is Lindsay Halligan, which is who Mike Davis was talking about there in that clip. I want to read really quick here a comment that just came through on our chat. This is from Lauren. It says, Trump's revenge attempts against Comey/Letitia James have failed miserably. Maybe he can find a way to get retribution against all the jurors who found him guilty of felonies and liable for sexual abuse. Well, that's full of a lot of untruths and some half-truths. But let's start with the Comey thing. First of all, this case is going to come back.
Yeah, it's without prejudice.
Yeah, and that's the point of it, is that there was no ruling on the case itself, and so they can bring it back. Now, Mark Elias, yeah. The very famous Democrat attorney who everybody says, I'm sorry, this is not the way that this should go, but I'm just telling you right now, online, people who don't like Mark Elias, they don't like him for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that they always say he smells bad.
That's terrible.
And I don't know why that just comes to mind. Maybe it's just one of those stupid, things that they try to attach somebody and it never goes away and it's not true. I don't know. But I always think of that when I think of his name now, because I guess it worked. That kind of stuff works. They attach stuff to people's names. Anyway, he is going out there right now on a media blitz and telling everybody, no, you can't bring the Comey case back because now the statute of limitations has run its course. But I don't think that that's true, and he's the only one I've heard say that. But I'm putting it out there because maybe there is something to that, and this case doesn't come back, and maybe that was part of the chess game that this Clinton judge was playing. But I don't know.
It could also just be astroturfing to rile up, the average Joe Democrat that listens to him and saying, oh, well, now it's definitely political prosecution because this is even past the statute of limitations.
Yeah, and it just cracks me up, and that's why I read that comment that just came through that people go, well, Trump is doing political persecutions and prosecutions, completely ignoring all of the political persecutions and prosecutions that were done to Donald Trump. You can't just say one of those. In fact, that gives Trump more of an opportunity to do this because the door's been opened, if you want to say that they're political prosecutions. I don't know whether they are. The one about Comey, to me, the one about Letitia James, different category. That could be retribution of saying, look, the tables have turned and now it's biting you.
Well, the thing is though, there is an actual law that she broke, allegedly. It's not like they're making something up. They've got behavior and law that go together that say this isn't legal.
You're correct. So, however, I still believe
it might be petty.
And that's what I think, is that this probably never would have been brought if she hadn't have done the first one, which means there is some aspect of retribution, even though it's completely legally airtight.
Above the board, yeah.
Yeah, and the stuff against him wasn't, and that's a big difference. But the thing about Comey is that Mike Davis just said it there. This is an important case. This is the former head of the FBI lying to Congress about what he did and possibly falsifying documents. They have it in his own handwriting, that him contradicting some of the things that he said under oath. So this is a much bigger case. It's not the easiest case. To me, the ones that I've looked into against Clapper and Brennan, who was the head of the CIA at the time, Comey is the FBI, those actually look like easier cases to me. But they did have to do this one first because the statute of limitations was running out first. So they had to do it. And it's going through the process, and that's where I just had to report, hey, maybe Mark Elias is onto something here, that they were trying to do something with that statute of limitations. But I've never heard anybody else say it, and he goes out into the spin zone hard and spins everything really hard. And none of the other people commenting on it are saying that's going to happen. So we'll see. But anyway, that's the update on that case. We'll keep watching. I still think that's a really important case, especially the Comey one. The Letitia James one is just it's turnabout. It's stupid, and I can't believe that we're here after watching her prosecute that for so long and knowing what she was doing.
Isn't that sort of the same thing that they're going after Schiff for?
Yeah, it is. It's mortgage fraud. It's claiming that you have a primary residence that's not your primary residence and doing it multiple times. It's obviously illegal.
Yeah.
You can't have 3 primary residences. Literally, you can't do that. You have to have one. That's why it's the primary residence. So those are just easy cases. But they are obvious, and they are going to get him on them. And what else they get Adam Schiff on, I don't know. Anyway, that's the update. We'll be right back, and we're going to bring you that interview that I did with Dennis Prager about a year ago. This was right before he got very, very ill. And like I said, we talk about God. And I find that fascinating because right after this, he really, I don't want to say he lost his voice, but he'd been a very well-known broadcaster personality for a long time. And this might be one of the last, if not the last, interviews with him before he really kind of lost his voice, physically speaking. So stick around. We're going to play that back next.
Are you shopping for flooring this holiday season for your house to finally restore that space in your home, bring it back to new life, and you need a place to go shop for that flooring? Well, let me talk to you about Michael's Flooring Outlet. They are located in 3 different places across St. Louis. So if you're shopping and you're trying to find the most convenient place to you, they do service Missouri and Illinois, but they have 3 locations where you can go in store to visit them, to experience the displays they have and really get a good literal feel of the flooring you might want to invest in. You can shop in St. Charles County. It's at 116 Main Street in Old Town St. Peters at Mid Rivers and Highway 70. How about Michael's Flooring Outlet located in West County on Olive Boulevard? It's just 1 mile off 270 West on Olive. There's also a 3rd location that you can visit in Dardine Prairie. You can go online all the time at igotfloored.com, request an estimate, read reviews, peruse the products, but I encourage you, go check them out in store. Find them online at igotfloored.com.
Most people spend decades saving for retirement, but few ever learn how to turn those savings into lasting income. And that's where Financial and Tax Architects comes in. They help people across St. Louis work to protect their life savings, minimize taxes, and retire with confidence. Now, they do a Retirement Planning 101 class, and it shows you exactly what others often miss: how to avoid hidden tax traps in your 401k or IRA, and how to make smarter decisions about Social Security. Now, this is a 1-night, 2.5-hour, no-cost educational event. Seats fill up fast. And at FTA, they like to say that financial peace of mind in retirement is all about income. Lose the job and keep the paycheck. That's exactly what FTA will help you do. So if you're within 10 years of retirement or already retired, you can't afford to miss it. Call 314-888-5101 or go to fta-ria.com and reserve your seat now.
Well, Thanksgiving is just a day or so away, and which means you're going to be meeting up with family. And our YouTube poll here plays off of that. Which is more effective in changing someone's opinion? Because we know that these things can arise during Thanksgiving, political debates. So what's more effective in changing someone's opinion? Is it love or is it information? You can vote on Annie's YouTube page by going to youtube.com/@AnnieFry. Vote in the poll. Leave us a comment telling us why you voted the way you voted. And this is a tough one, so we want to hear from you. So vote, leave us a comment, and we might read that comment on air. The time is 1:32. This time check is brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Freedom has a frequency. 97.1 FM Talk. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a draw. Some nights I wish that my lips could build a castle. Some nights I wish they just fall off. But I still
Thank you for having me.
So I have a variety of questions to ask you here, but let's start with the book. You have accomplished something that is difficult to do. Once you write a book, I mean, writing a book is not the easiest thing to do in the world, but then titling the book in such a way that makes the reader not only, or the potential reader, not only interested to hear what it's about and can encapsulate the subject, but also, makes them actually intrigued enough to pick up the book. I think you've done that here with The Rational Bible, Numbers.
Well, Numbers is not exactly a riveting title, but I'm stuck with it because that's the way the book is titled. The better one, which I do include on the cover, is the actual Hebrew, which is in the wilderness. That's the Hebrew name for the book. The English name is Numbers. I've been writing, this is 10 years now. I'm writing a volume on each of the first 5 books of the Bible because everything else in the Old and New Testaments rests on the first 5 books known as the Torah. And if people understand the ideas of those books, their lives will be transformed for the better. And I know every author might say that, so I have proof. People should just go to Amazon and read the 4,000, well, nobody's going to read 4,000, but read some of the 4,000 reviews of the first 3 volumes of the Rational Bible. It is meant to be life-changing.
So you have an expertise in biblical Hebrew and its grammar. For somebody who is interested in the Bible and may not have the expertise that you have, what is it, what is like one of the big takeaways that you say, this is what I'd like you to get from Numbers or from God and Man in the Wilderness?
Well, it really, it's really so rich. The book is so rich, and hopefully my commentary is, it doesn't matter what page or chapter you pick up, but I'll give you one example of a transformative idea to be derived from the book. When the Israelites or Jews or Hebrews, whatever term you wish to use, are liberated from Egyptian slavery, where they were for hundreds of years, you would think they would be the most grateful group of people in the world. And instead, they're complaining the whole time. And one of their complaints in Numbers is, we want to go, literally, we want to go back to Egypt. The food was better.
Mm-hmm.
And I developed many themes from that, because God gets very angry at them. And you figure, what is God angry about? And so here are at least three points to be made that can really affect a person's life. One, arguably the lowest form of human is the ingrate. And ingratitude is the dominant idea in America today, at least in one part of the political spectrum. Not being grateful for being an American is, to me, as ungrateful as being liberated from Egypt. It's an astonishing thing to me. I mean, I've been to 130 countries. I'm very grateful to be an American. And if you're not, there's something wrong with you. And it doesn't matter if you're black or white or male or female. You have unparalleled opportunities if you're in this country. So God is quite annoyed with ingrates. A second great lesson from all of this is that the human being does not yearn to be free. It's a common misconception. People yearn to be free. That's not true. People yearn to be taken care of. And most people will trade in freedom for being taken care of. So we want to go back to Egypt. Yeah, we were slaves, but we really liked the food. And so we got free food. Yeah, we were slaves, so we'll trade in liberty for good food. And that's what we have in America today. People prepared to trade in liberty for any sorts of government goodies, whether it's student loan, daycare, lunch and breakfast at school, Social Security, Medicare for all. People are absolutely prepared to trade in freedom for being taken care of. So anyway, those are two of the big themes. Just from that one idea, we want to go back to Egypt. The food was better.
Well, that's so interesting. I mean, freedom for safety is definitely something that I've heard before. I think there's a famous Benjamin Franklin quote that says the same thing. And when I read the title of your book, The Rational Bible, not to sort of mince founding fathers here, but I go back to Thomas Jefferson, and him. His Bible was famous for being only rational. He took out all the supernatural stuff. I'm assuming that's not exactly what you're doing with numbers, though. That's correct. But my approach is completely rational. I never ask the reader to take anything on faith, which is why the books have been, I believe, quite effective. I write in the foreword to each of the volumes, if I have not explained something, then rationally, then I have betrayed you, the reader. So this is for the skeptic, basically.
Oh, yes, but if people will read, there are 5,000 reviews on Amazon for the first 3 volumes. If people read any of the reviews, or 100 of them, I don't expect people to read 4,000. Even I didn't. But if people will read any given number, they'll see how many people are already committed to religion, usually Christians. I'm a Jew, but it's usually Christians. And who write, this has profoundly strengthened my faith. It has given me reason to believe, not just faith to believe.
Okay, well, I got to ask you, because you brought it up, there's a video out there. There's a lot of videos of you out there. I don't know if you are aware of this, but there's a lot of videos that people have become acquainted with you through PragerU and all those things. One of them saying, well, why isn't Dennis Prager a Christian? And I just want to, before we run out of time, I think that one of the things that so many in the conservative orbits have been impressed with is the way that you've used social media to get these messages out. I mean, is that something that you have had to really cultivate, or as you just kind of started doing it, it took off?
Yeah, both are true. Look, I'm probably the biggest defender of Christians and Christianity who is not a Christian, maybe in the world. But I think certainly in America, I don't suffer from what the Jews suffered who left Egypt, ingratitude. I'm spectacularly grateful for what Christians, largely Protestants, have created in the United States of America. The friendliest country to Jews in Jewish history outside of, obviously, their own country. And that may be changing, which would be a tragedy for America as much as would be for the Jews, but that's a separate subject. But on the question, you have to have me back to have a lengthier discussion. But in a nutshell, with regard to my being a Christian, I'm a sort of sola scriptura Jew.
Okay, so I got you.
Yeah, and I believe that God chose the Jews. I don't believe He is, changed His mind, and that's a big part of the reason Jews suffer such horrible horror and hatred. It's a unique hatred, the Jewish hatred, because it's exterminationist. It's not just persecution, but it's let's exterminate the Jews, which is what the Iranian regime and Hezbollah and Hamas are saying today. And also, I do believe, to get to the heart of the matter, and I always try to answer questions openly, I do believe that ultimately works can save a person. That's the great theological difference. I'm a massive devotee of Judeo-Christian values, but obviously there's no such thing as Judeo-Christian theology. Our theologies differ, but our values are very, very similar.
Well,
and I'm a big promoter of Judeo-Christian values.
Before, we're almost out of time here. I don't want to keep you too long, but are you seeing this happen culturally too? That you're seeing Jews and Christians come together, not just in the United States, but is that something you think almost spiritually is happening in the world right now?
Well, if it doesn't happen, the world will be in really bad shape. The more Jews and Christians are allied, the greater it is for the greater world. I've said all of my life, it is not a coincidence that America has been the most blessed country in the world, because as God said to Abraham, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. And that the country that has most blessed the Jews has been the most blessed country. Even if you're an atheist, you can't deny that. That's just a fact. And I always added in every speech for 40 years that should, God forbid, it ever happen that America abandons the Jews in Israel, I fear for America.
Well, Mr. Dennis Prager, I really appreciate your time, and of course your new book, The Rational Bible Numbers. Is it out now? Can people get it right now?
Yep, they can pre-order it. It's coming out next month.
Okay, so pre-order The Rational Bible Numbers from Dennis Prager, and we absolutely will have to continue this conversation sometime. I'd really love to do that. Thank you.
It's mutual. Thank you so much.
Get ready for the 38th annual Guns N' Hoses. It's St. Louis's biggest charity boxing event, supporting the Backstoppers. Hear it right here, the night before Thanksgiving. Coverage starts at 6:30. Guns N' Hoses, live on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Cooling, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Matt Hayes and Home Shield Foundation Repair are waiting for your phone call at 314-227-9636. 314-227-9636. Those basement leakage problems, there's nothing like the word leakage. Just say leakage in your basement. That sounds bad, right? Well, get rid of your leakage problem with Matt Hayes. He's there to help. He's the basement foundation repair guy. He's the guy who can waterproof your basement finally once and for all. And all you got to do is call him and tell him to come look at your leakage in your basement. 314-227-9636. Call 314-227-9636 and he can come assess the problem. And that's one of the things I appreciate about Matt Hayes is that he is going to need to see your basement before he sells you something. It kind of makes sense, doesn't it? What's your problem? What are your concerns? What are your fixes that are needed? He'll come, he'll assess it, he'll tell you what he can do for you, and then you can determine for yourself if you're ready to hire him. 314-227-9636, the number to call, HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life. Your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Woke radical liberals are screwing up this country, but Congressman Jason Smith is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors, and taxes on tips and overtime gone. So call Congressman Jason Smith at 202-225-4404 and thank him for backing working family tax cuts and putting America first. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, you're crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine.
Brad, I have a question for you. Have you ever been nervous to meet, well, really anybody, but a celebrity was the question I was going to ask. It's almost an Ask Me Anything question, but I don't know that we've ever asked that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've asked, Annie, have you ever been nervous to interview somebody? And I don't remember the specific answer to that other than to say when she first started this show on weekends, 10 years ago, if that? now, 2016-ish, I think it was around there. She said that her first several shows she was just very nervous to do, but I don't know that she ever gave us a name that she was really nervous to interview.
Yeah, I would say most of the celebrities that I've met, and this is going to sound really funny, but back whenever I was just a fan of this show, Annie announced and was doing the Taxpayer Revolt Rally. Do you remember that in Collinsville? Were you there?
It was one of my first events with the station.
So I didn't meet you there, but I was there. It's the first event that I met anybody in public. And so
I was with Bruce Rauner, right?
Yeah, Rauner showed up, and at the very end, but there was all the different, Republican candidates and all that other stuff. I was nervous to go up and talk to Annie.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Annie and Katie were there, and I saw them over there, and I was just sitting there.
I was with the station, but not with this show yet.
Right. Because I knew you from the Glover show and that sort of thing.
Although I don't think I was actually even on the Glover show. I might have been part-time here still.
Okay.
So you wouldn't have had
maybe
any
not.
relationship
I
with
wouldn't
me.
have recognized you for sure. But, yeah, I was like, it took my wife prodding me. He's like, just go over there and say hi. And I was like, fine, I'll go over and say hi. But I was nervous. This is kind of funny to say. Billy Bob Thornton, nervous to meet him.
Oh, when was that?
He was at the airport in Lambert. He was flying in for a St. Louis Cardinals game or something like that.
You just saw him?
I was there to pick up my friend who was flying in from L.A., and he's like, Billy Bob Thornton was on that flight. And so I was like, no way. And he's like, yeah, he's right over there.
Huh. Was he flying first class?
I guess. I wasn't on the plane. I didn't ask that because I was like super nervous, but he did have security with him who was standing there like kind of like big while they were waiting by the baggage exchange. So that made me nervous. I'm trying to think of all the other.
Did you feel it necessary to go talk to him? Or did you just want to?
No, but I was like, when am I ever going to get a chance to do this again?
What'd you say?
I just said, hi, it's nice to meet you. Big fan, that sort of thing. And it's like, I don't even know us here to see the Cardinals. Yeah, love the Cardinals. And it's kind of like, okay, bye. Super awkward, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not there. Like, he's on a flight. He's there. He's trying to be low-key. And the Midwest, nice. This is me with most people that I see that are famous. The Midwest nice in me is like, don't say anything to him.
Don't bother him.
Yeah. You can make eye contact with him, like, I know who you are. I'm not going to say anything. I'll keep it low-key. And, like, he had the ball cap down kind of low and all that sort of thing. But, it was Billy Bob Thornton. It was like that whenever I was in D.C. Ryan Schmelz, who's on every Wednesday or every Monday at about 12, usually 12:15 or so. So if you tune in for that. I texted him when I was out there. He's like, yeah, come on over. I'll take you in. So he walks up. They have those gates up around the White House, or not the White House, the Capitol building. And he goes and he talks to the Capitol police officer. He's like, yeah, take him in, but they've got to stay with you. And he's like, all right, cool. So I got to go in there. I got to meet, I got to watch Richard Blumenthal do me to you away. So a couple feet away from Blumenthal doing an interview by they call it the lamppost. When they come outside and they do it. Got to meet, Chad Pergram. Chad Pergram's awesome. Super nervous to meet him, though. It was a little different with Ryan because I text with him a lot, and
Yeah, you've got a little bit of a relationship there.
But he took us down through there. I got to meet Senator Gallegos' people. I got to meet a lot of people, and yeah, it's kind of nervous when you're meeting some of these high, powerful people in the country because they're just supposed to be you and me, but there's that element of them that is. They're important because they can actually, in their position, shape the future, my future and your future, and the future of the country. But they were all so very gracious, which surprised me, except for, I think it was Tim Kaine. I didn't get to talk to him, but I almost ran into him.
I remember that story.
And I would have knocked that guy down if I wasn't paying attention.
He's not very big?
No. He is probably about your height, so about 5'4".
Okay. Oh, come on.
Yeah. No, he's kind of short. I would say probably 5'6", maybe 5'7". So I didn't notice him right away, and I turned to walk out because they have those rotundas, which are actually in the office building, not the rotunda, the Capitol. I didn't know that, but that's where they do all those interviews. I turned, and he was like doing the fast walk by me to go meet somebody that was also a dignitary because he had a look and he was kind of getting ready to reach out. I turned and I took a half step, and if I'd have taken a full step, I would have hip checked him, and it would have been like one of those like hockey hip checks where the guy spins and falls down.
So you could have made news. Tim Kaine broke his hip in a collision with random guy who was 5'2". Yeah. That's what they would have said. That's what they would have said.
They would have said 5'2", but that's just to save face for Tim. No, they would have. I would have been like massive to them. They're like, yeah, he was like 6'7", 450 pounds. He's because the very average height. Tim.
Right. I remember that story, but it doesn't mean that he was not courteous. He was just in the middle of something.
He wasn't paying attention to me. I caught him at the last minute. There was a senator, Ryan. We were going to get on the elevator to go down and take the subway ride, or no, go through the tunnels. We took the subway from the Capitol, which they had a fire on recently. I don't know if you saw that, but the senator gets in and then closes the door in our face. So we weren't allowed to ride with him in the elevator.
Oh.
Ryan looks at me and he goes, "Huh."
Do you don't know what senator that was?
I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
Because he was not a Republican, but I also don't want to get Ryan.
You're not just going to say it. Okay. All right.
But
okay.
Yeah, he just kind of
I asked that question because, and I've said this before, I think I've said this on the air. I'm not really sure, but I'll say it for the first time if I haven't, that I've worked in a lot of media environments. I've worked in newspapers, actually, and I've worked in TV, and I've worked in semi-national TV at my own company, and then I've worked in other radio. And when I started here at 97.1, the people here, I still say this, but it's become common now because I've been here for a while. They were the most impressive personalities I've ever met. And I worked in a lot of environments. But the people here, especially the main hosts, they're just so good at what they do. And it's a class of people that I had not been around, even though I've been in a lot of media. I had never been around a talk show host who can carry a show for 3, and in Mark Cox's case, 4 hours a day. It takes a lot. And it was just, it's intimidating when you first step into it, even though I had come from a radio background. I had never done talk radio. And to walk into it and see what these hosts are able to do for such long periods of time every day that somehow is still captivating, entertaining, interesting, whatever word you want to put on it, I was amazed. And I still to this day look back to then to realize, oh yeah, I'm still every now and then I got to take a step back and watch my colleagues as a listener instead of as somebody who knows them and say, gosh, you guys are really good at what you do. And I didn't intend that to be this whole segment, but when we talk to people around the country, there is a certain respect for 97.1 hosts.
Yeah.
Because they're really good. And I'm not even including myself. I'm not a main host. I'm not one of the top 3 here. Mark, and Annie are the top 3 here. And then you got the national hosts too. These guys are just really, really good. And they're at a level that if you tune in around the country, you're not going to find that.
Yeah.
You're just not. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to dash anybody or take a dump on anybody's talents elsewhere. I'm just saying that these people are really good. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that I got really nervous, bring it back around here. Maybe the most nervous I've ever been professionally to interview Dennis Prager. And it's because of that fact, because he's that good. Because I knew that I've gotten, comfortable enough at doing this that I can kind of ease my way through a couple shows here. I'm hosting today and yesterday, and I can get through these, and hopefully they're good shows. I don't know. I don't do this every day like Andy does. I'm the co-host. But to interview him, I knew I couldn't fake my way through it because he would know, because that's what he does, and he's that good. So it was just cool to interview him, and it's cool listening back to it again too, to hear him say, we should do this again. Maybe he's still capable. Like I said, he's gone through a lot of health issues right after that interview. And so maybe I should reach out and just see how he's doing, if he's capable of talking again. That'd be fun. Anyway, thanks for being here. We got another hour ahead, and we got Trisha coming in, and Ethan. Should be a fun 2 o'clock hour heading into the day before Thanksgiving. So stay here.
So Thanksgiving, it's almost here. Ruler Foods has everything you need to make it delicious while stretching your holiday dollars. RulerFoods.com. You can always go to rulerfoods.com and see whatever savings they have special on top of the normal shop at Ruler Foods, and you're going to save money specials that they have. Right now, Kroger frozen turkeys, a 10 to 20 pounder, just 49 cents a pound with a limit of 2. You can stock up on 12 packs of Pepsi or Coke products at buy 2, get 2 free prices with a limit of 8. And those fluffy, delicious mashed potatoes for the holiday dinner coming up. A 10-pound bag of Kroger russet potatoes, just $2.99. You can celebrate Thanksgiving with all the friends and family around the table and provide a wonderful, delicious holiday meal for less. Stress less and stretch your holiday dollars at Ruler Foods. If you want to, you can schedule a delivery and have those savings shipped directly to your door. When you visit them online, you can send that delivery from rulerfoods.com.
With this season's drought and high temperatures, demand for new sprinkler system installs is at its peak. Even with a little rain in the forecast, now is the absolute best time to put a new system in place, setting you up for a healthier, greener lawn next year. Don't let your lawn go through another season looking the way it does today. Take control now, and you'll never have to worry about the damage heat and dry weather can cause again. Call 636-695-7800 or visit ProOutdoor.com to schedule your new system installation today.
Welcome to Coffee House. How are you today?
Hi, great, thanks. May I get a sea salt caramel latte with almond milk, extra caramel, extra shot, iced,
Gross.
and to go, please. Did you get all that?
No, I was just ringing you up for all the extras. Can you repeat your order, please?
Oh, never mind. I'm just gonna go.
Stop paying extra for extras. Get fancy coffee without the fancy coffee price at Quick Trip. Raise your coffee bar.
Did you know that 60% of adults over 20 avoid going to the dentist due to deep fear of dental treatment? Knowing that many of our chronic health problems can be directly related to the harmful bacteria in our mouth, not going to the dentist can be very dangerous. Hi, this is Dr. Michael White. I've been helping the dental anxiety patient for over 20 years with anxiety-free sedation. This is very effective and very affordable. Call my office at 314-270-8552. That's 314-270-8552.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Blizzard conditions in South Dakota. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. As snow hits parts of the Midwest both before and after Thanksgiving, Michigan's Upper Peninsula could get 2 to 3 feet. Thanksgiving Day expected to be the quietest.
Beyond it, this is going to be a beast of a storm, and the intensity of this has been trending up as we head Friday into the weekend.
Fox weather meteorologist Ian Oliver.
This is Saturday afternoon and evening. This has the potential to be a top 10 snow, a 2-day snow in the month of November for Chicago.
Severe weather hitting parts of the South today with a tornado watch from Mississippi into Alabama. Air travel disruptions beginning to rise around the country. FlightAware now reporting more than 2,600 delays, but still not many cancellations on what's expected to be the busiest day for Thanksgiving travel.
We got here early expecting crowds, and it's not that crowded.
We didn't know what to expect, and we're pleasantly surprised that everything seems to be okay so far.
There at New Jersey's Newark Liberty Airport, President Trump wishing Americans a happy Thanksgiving while pardoning a turkey named Gobble at the White House and touting a record of his second administration so far.
In less than 1 year, we've accomplished more than most other administrations have accomplished in 8 years, and this is a very special Thanksgiving.
The president also saying he thinks progress has been made on ending the war in Ukraine, and he just posted the original 28-point peace plan from the U.S. has been fine-tuned with additional input from both sides and only a few remaining points of disagreement.
He goes on to say, in hopes of finalizing this peace plan, I've directed my special envoy Steve Witkoff to meet with President Putin in Moscow, and at the same time, Secretary of the Army Dan Driscoll will be meeting with the Ukrainians. I will be briefed on all progress made.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House, the president adding he looks forward to meeting with the Russian and Ukrainian presidents soon, but only when the deal is in its final stages. America is listening to Fox News.
Picture this. You're on a date. The conversation's flowing, the food is amazing, and then bad breath happens. And suddenly you're leaning back instead of leaning in. Your confidence gone. Or maybe it's a big meeting. You've got the pitch nailed. The deal is perfect. Coffee breath is doing all the talking, not the impression you want to leave behind. Gum and mints, most are just bad breath Band-Aids and fade fast, which is why you need to try Zellman's Minty Mouth, the functional breath freshener you swallow. Zellman's tiny dual-action capsules are coated with a powerful, delicious mint filled with parsley seed oil, clinically tested to fight the toughest offenders like garlic, onions, and it even takes down coffee breath for fresh, confident breath anytime you need to get close. Zellman's is only available online. Go to Zellmans.com, Zelmins, Zellmans.com. Use the code FRESH for 15% off your first order. Zellmans.com, code FRESH for 15% off.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our holiday week continues, and we do have some sloppy weather returning, but we've got clouds and some sun this afternoon, upper 50s, partly cloudy, windy, and cold tonight. Northwest winds return 37. Wednesday, sunny, windy, and chilly, 46, but it's going to seem colder, 29 Wednesday night. Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, sunny and 45. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Oh, yeah, this is the moment you have been waiting for.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Annie's out. Ryan and Brad are in.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Mannie Frey Show.
I think it was at this time yesterday we talked to Mark Cox about a variety of issues, but one of them is his Thanksgiving ATF raffle. If you missed that, just a quick overview of what's going on here. Every time about this time of year, he does a raffle for Responder Rescue, and it's a great cause, and it goes to all the money goes to Responder Rescue because the ticket buying process itself takes no money out of it, and all of the prizes are donated. So it's really cool. You can win one of any of these three prizes. The ATF being alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, including a firearm, a rifle, a bourbon basket filled with hard-to-get bottles, and then 24 Roma Chromagon, am I pronouncing that right? Chromagron? Cigar, cranium cigars. I should have read that before I started just reading it.
Chronogram.
After that whole segment about how professional everybody else is.
Yeah, that's right. I said it about everybody else, not myself. ResponderRescue.org/events. The thing I do know is to tell you that the tickets are only available through tomorrow at noon. So if you're going to get those, if you listen to us talk about it yesterday, you can only get those right now through noon tomorrow, and then the drawing will happen. $10 for 10 tickets, $25 for 27 tickets, and $50 for 55 tickets. And you get them by texting Responder to 33100. Responder to 33100.
Challenge placed by the Annie Frey Show.
Yeah, we've done that a couple times, and Annie's not here today to do that, but we do want to mention that. So there you go. Let's get to sports and local with Ethan.
Hold up. Check it out.
And now, Cookie the Clown.
Sometimes when I hear those, I just don't even want to talk. I'm like, I should not do the service of speaking right now. I should make you have to just just coming up with stuff to say, because I refuse to speak for my segment because I get introed and called Cookie the Clown. What is that?
I refuse to speak well, like the whole beginning of this segment.
Can I ask you a question, Ethan? Which ones bother you more? The ones where it's like Cookie the Clown or some goofy name like Irfin? Or
is Cookie the Clown not goofy?
Or no, like nonsense.
He's putting those
ones.
in the same category.
The nonsense
okay.
ones, or the one where he calls you the Ginger Tom Brokaw,
or Short John Silver.
If I'm being honest, none of them really bug me. The ginger ones, I don't like the ginger ones, but they don't actually annoy me.
Ethan doesn't like
I don't think
gingers.
I've heard one yet that is legitimately, I've been like, oh, that's too far.
We should probably find that line and dance on it.
Yeah, we should cross that line and then back it up a little bit.
Just a tiny, tiny bit, though.
When we start to get to the point where I'm like, this is kind of libel, that's probably what it would take, honestly.
Then we're just going to have to keep pushing and finding where that is.
Let me consult Brad Young. Can I sue here?
Oh, my goodness. Well, it is a very important day in sports and local.
I've heard that it is, but I don't know much.
The St. Louis Cardinals have made a trade.
The first big trade of their offseason, right?
It is indeed a big trade. It is not just any trade. Sonny Gray is a Cardinal. No more!
No kidding.
That's a huge deal.
I didn't know this.
Traded to the Boston Red Sox this morning. Going to the Red Sox, as well as Sonny Gray, will be $20 million in cash. And the reason in which the Cardinals
Wait, the Cardinals are giving $20 million and Sonny Gray away?
Correct. And the reason being is that Sonny Gray, when he signed with the Cardinals, it was a 3-year, $75 million contract, but that contract was backloaded where half the money, half of that, or almost half of that $75 million, was getting paid in his final year. He was owed $35 million this year on top of option money for next year as well. So the Cardinals are sending $20 million with Sonny Gray to help the Red Sox pay for Gray, so they'll pay the other $20 million. And in return, because the Cardinals were willing to eat some of that contract, they got some better prospects in return as well. One of the prospects that they received was left-handed pitcher Brandon Clark. Clark was drafted in the 5th round of the 2024 Major League Draft. And he had an okay season in single A. He's still in the lower levels of the minor leagues, but people are really excited about some of the pitch mix that he brings. His slider is very highly regarded. He can touch 100 miles an hour. I've seen a lot of stuff about this as a guy. There's not a lot of guys in baseball right now that have the unique mix that this guy does in his pitching. And good left-handed pitching is always highly regarded in baseball. And the Cardinals haven't really had a lot of that in recent years. So people are excited about him. He was the 5th-ranked prospect in Boston's system. He's already been put into ours. He's the 7th-ranked player in our system, so top 10 prospect.
Already?
Yes, already. Yep. So, and then they also added another player, and that guy, his name is Richard Fitz. Why are you laughing, Ryan?
Richard Head.
Richard Fitz.
Uh-huh. What does he go by?
Well, everything I've seen has been in his actual name. But, for those that are not putting 2 and 2 together.
Tricky Richard Fitz.
And are connecting why Wiggins is laughing.
Richard Tracy.
A common name, similar to, people named Robert get called Bob. A lot of people named Richard, they get called Dick.
Oh, now I understand. Thank you. That would have completely right over my head.
Really now?
Yeah. I just thought Fitz was just such a funny name. Fitz. I'm laughing even now.
So anyway, do with that information what you want. But the Cardinals now have...
Isn't he expected to slot into the rotation, though?
He is, yes. This is a guy that started 11 games for Boston last year. Has started 15 games in his career. Is pretty young and has shown some encouraging signs at the major league level, but is still very young in his career, and he is someone that is expected to slot in. If not to the rotation, he is going to be in the mix for a spot come spring training. So we're off and running. It's kind of exciting. I mean, it's one of those trades where it's like, yeah, it's unfortunate to see a guy like Sonny Gray go because, yes, he was the Cardinals' best pitcher last year, but also it is a huge step in the direction of which the Cardinals are heading, which is, to a certain extent, to a rebuild. It's going to be a soft rebuild.
Ooh, the R word.
It's not going to be like the Pittsburgh Pirates where they're going to win 50 games next year. That's not what is going to happen.
Yeah, but they're saying we're not going to be a contender this year.
Correct, but if that means we are finally moving towards hey, we recognize that we need to change things, we need to get better in some areas, then I'm okay with that.
Okay, so you lost Sonny Gray for not only this coming season, but the option on the next.
Correct.
So are these two guys projected to, either one of them, even if one of them falls flat, could either one of these guys be the impact player that they need to rebuild around? I mean, is that the kind of caliber we're talking about?
Well, here's the thing.
Because you lost Sonny Gray.
Here's the thing. So when first of all, Sonny Gray still a decent year last year, but his numbers regressed to the point where $35 million was nowhere near what you were going to be getting from him. He is not a number one, or at least this year was not a number one type pitcher. He is going to be 36 years old. He's getting up there in age. So it doesn't exactly match with the Cardinals aren't expected to be in the mix, being a contender this year, probably not next year either. It doesn't make sense to have a guy like that. Maximize on the value that you can, get something out of it. Is there a guarantee that either of these two guys hit? No, there's never a guarantee, Ryan. But I will say that some of the things, especially about Clark, that I have seen, it is encouraging. But, you have to think about it like this. You acquire,
I don't have to do anything.
Hold on. Shut up.
Don't tell me my business.
Let's say you got 30 prospects, right? And, what number of those are you happy with hitting, right? The more guys that you're able to bring into that system that have a better chance of hitting, the better spot that you're in.
When you say hitting, you're talking about becoming something.
Yes, I'm not meaning literally hit the ball. I am meaning metaphorically hit. And so, and that's what this deal is. That's the Cardinals bringing in a couple of guys that they feel like have a good chance to be something to contribute. And Clark's going to be a little bit more of a long-term guy. He's still in the lower levels of the minors. But a lot of people are saying that this is a good trade for the Cardinals.
Okay,
they got good return.
Aside from these two guys, what does the farm system look like right now? Are we stacked? Are we kind of in the middle?
Well, they're different websites, different outlets share their own rankings for what the prospect systems look like. So it's, different ones have different opinions. Fangraphs says the Cardinals already have the number one prospect system in baseball. Now, a lot of people would say, that's maybe a little bit early. ESPN has us at number 9, or had us at number 9 last year. So assuming that we are going to be making a couple of more trades, Brendan Donovan, the market for him right now is super high. He's one of the most highly sought-after players in baseball right now in the trade market. He's going to get you some really good return. So the assumption is that, our system is going to be in an even better spot in the next couple of months than it was last year. And most outlets would say the Cardinals at worst are top half of baseball in their farm system right now. A lot of them have them in the top 10. So you could be looking at a top 5 farm system, highly regarded by the start of the upcoming season, which would be a really good sign for the Cardinals to be moving in that direction.
This prospect that they got in the Sonny Gray trade, what level is he? What is the
last year was his first year pitching professionally.
So is he single A?
He threw in single A very briefly, and then he got moved to high A. Okay. Got hit around a little bit more at high A. I think he started 11 games there. So I don't know. I haven't seen, Chaim Bloom, the Cardinals' new president of baseball operations.
So he could be a ways away.
He could be, yes. Just had a meeting with the press a few minutes ago. I didn't have a chance to hear if they knew where they'd be plugging him in. He might be a double-A guy next year. He might start the year in Peoria with single A.
Okay.
Last question.
Yes.
Have you, in your lifetime, gone through a Cardinals rebuild before?
No.
I can't even remember it in my lifetime.
No.
I'm sure there have been, but I just don't remember.
Ryan, I was born in 2000. I was born after Mark McGwire's 70 home runs.
He doesn't remember the beginning of the TLR era.
I was so I was 4 when they went to the World Series in 2004, right? They were contenders from the moment I was born, and they had only had one under 500 year until 2023 from the time that I was born.
Wow.
Yeah. Listen, I know, say what you want about how John Mozeliak and co. let it get to where it is now, but 2000 to 2020, what a freaking run. I would ask for that run again and again.
And this kind of explains why Cardinals fans struggle with this, because the saying used to be the Cardinals don't rebuild, they reload. Their farm system kept feeding their their pro system.
Yeah.
Like they would just feed good players in there.
And that's what they're trying to get back to.
Right. And like Albert Pujols was a farm system, homegrown. I mean, we got him from the
13th round pick.
Yeah. So they got to get back to that, but at some point you got to rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there. So it's a good direction in which the Cardinals moved today, and hopefully one of these guys, hopefully both of them hit.
Before you were born, we used to walk around all the time saying the Cardinals don't ever rebuild, they reload. We would just walk around saying it, but you wouldn't remember that. It was before 2000.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It was a 20th century thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Back when we were younger.
Gotcha.
Back in the Pedro Guerrero era.
You don't know who that is.
Darn right I do.
You totally made up a name.
You know who that is.
You totally made up a name.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Okay, thank you. All right, Trisha's coming in next. We're going to do serious questions. That'll be fun. Keep it here.
Let me tell you about my friend Tammy Dittamore at the Dittamore Group and the amazing team at the Dittamore Group with RE/MAX Alliance. If you are looking to buy, if you're looking to sell, or if you're even simply considering a move, the Dittamore Group wants to speak with you. You do not have to have all your ducks in a row. They put the ducks in the row for you, and they do it right the first time, which is, if I'm doing it, I'm not going to do it right the first time. That's why I want an expert. Somebody with, a team of 50 plus years of experience in the business. That's the Dittamore Group. The number one team and the number one office in the Metro East. That's the Dittamore Group. Someone who works in both Illinois and Missouri for those more complicated moves. That's the Dittamore Group. If you want somebody who is well known, who is respected in the community, whose values are based on honesty and uncompromising integrity, you heard me, the Dittamore Group. Call 618-531-4652. That's 618-531-4652. Learn everything you need to know about them online at thedittamore.com.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Lights flickering?
Grasser can fix it.
Breaker keeps tripping?
That's a Grasser job.
Outlet not working?
Grasser makes it right.
Old wiring need a rewire?
Grasser rewires with care.
From little fixes to major fixes.
Even the tricky ones.
We treat your home like our own.
Treat? Did you say treat?
Woof. Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you can find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay. Things people love.
Rooted in faith, grounded in family. We're back with more truth. This is the Annie Frey Show.
Up to the sounds of the silence that allows for my mind to run around with my ear up to the ground. I'm searching to behold the stories that I told when my back is to the world that was smiling when I turned.
What's your opinion on Imagine Dragons, Trisha?
I like them. This chair is just...
Welcome to my world. You're sitting in the seat I normally sit in.
I don't know if the microphone's going to go
one
this
with
low.
the flat armrest?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's...
They don't...
I can just see your eyes over the computer screen.
Hey, guys.
Tell the company we need chairs in here.
Company.
They just...
Chairs.
They sag.
What? Hold on. Stand by.
And I'm not talking about the Performers Union either.
Oh, boy. All right. Hey,
that one will do the same thing. Don't worry.
Yeah, this one will?
Yeah.
This one seems newer.
Well, it stays pretty low, though.
Okay.
I'm
back.
That's the best one we have.
Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons.
I like them. I think they're fine. Solidly fine.
Yeah, I don't
What do
really
you
have a
think?
problem with them. I just hear them and I go, that's Imagine Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't dislike the songs, but they're very identifiable.
Are you familiar with Impractical Jokers?
Yes.
The show?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
So at the end of each show, they have punishments, and one of them at one point was they had to go out on stage and introduce Imagine Dragons, and they were like, "Everybody get excited for Imagination Dragons!" And it was like an arena full of people there to see Imagine Dragons, and it just went silent.
Did he do it on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be embarrassing. They like in their ear tell them what they have to say.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Well,
so that's what I think of when I think of them.
this segment is called Serious Questions, and that was basically the first one, even though we didn't play the sounder. Brad, if you want to play the sounder, you can. It'll sound like this.
Serious question.
There we go.
Set the stage.
And that's what we have for you in this segment. So we will read a story to you and then ask a serious question about that story.
Serious question.
Yep, there. Thank you very much.
That's it.
I'll start. This is about Wendy's. Of course, this is the kind of news I like. Mm-hmm. Wendy's is hopping in on the viral trend 6-7.
Ugh.
What?
I don't get it.
It's not,
I'm old and I don't
there's
understand.
Nothing to get. It means nothing. There is nothing. There is no hitting meaning. It's numbers, and kids go 6-7. You're all welcome, parents out there with kids in your car. And then they throw their hands up in the air like they're not sure. And that's it. That's all it is. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, that was going to be my question, but I'll go ahead and give you the details of the story.
I don't like it. No, the answer is no.
Ahead of Black Friday, at the end of this week, fast food chain Wendy's is getting in on the fun, not only on the annual shopping celebration, but also on a recent popular trend, the 6-7 meme. 6-7 has exploded in popularity with members of Gen Alpha and Gen Z over the last year, and they are selling their Frosties for 67 cents.
Ooh, that's a good deal. I
like it
that.
now.
Okay, what's the question?
On Friday. The question is, what does 6-7 mean? The serious question.
Serious question.
What is 6-7?
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't like it.
Do you want the background of it?
USA Today has there's like lots of stories about this. So tell me what you think it is.
So it's 6-7 is from a rap song by Skrilla.
You got it. That's what this says.
Dude, and that 6-7 is his block. So he says at the end of one of his lines, he just says 6-7, and then LaMelo Ball picked that up, added it into a celebration along with, like, whenever he's playing basketball. Is it LaMelo Ball? I can't remember. One of the Ball kids.
You're talking the wrong group.
So anyway, it's a celebration for making a basket and stuff like that. Well, then this one little blonde-haired kid with the typical Gen Alpha blonde hair where it comes down but kind of flares out, kind of the mop look. He's at a exhibition basketball game, and the guy does the celebration on the floor, and then it turns in the crowd and looked at this kid, and he leans right in, and he goes, 6-7! And then that became the meme that is now nothing.
Do you know what Skrilla says it means, according to USA Today?
Did he say it means it's the block he grew up on?
No, he says that it means negative to positive. So if you're in the 6, you're in the negative. If you're in the 7, you're in the positive. You're going from negative to positive, Trisha.
But both of those are positive integers?
Integers, yeah.
I'm not sure
they're
what
not
that
imaginary
means.
numbers.
No.
They're real numbers.
I don't get it.
6 is the number of Satan.
Yeah.
And then 7
if you
is
say
the
it
number
3 times, right?
Yeah. So maybe that's what he's referring
7
to. 7 is the number of heaven because it rhymes.
7. And there was a show, Seventh Heaven.
There was. Yeah. The pastors in that show, weak. Not sure what the denomination was. Wouldn't go there. Your turn.
My turn. Some families are adopting turkeys for Thanksgiving instead of eating them. An increasing number of farm animal sanctuaries across the country have started promoting this alternative version of Thanksgiving in which families adopt turkeys and donate money to their lifelong care. In return, they receive photos, certificates, and sometimes even one-on-one visits with the birds. Some people will adopt for themselves and feature their turkey's photo on their Thanksgiving table, while others will gift the adoptions to friends or family members. Serious question.
Serious question.
Favorite Thanksgiving food?
That's turkey. Turkey is my favorite. I like turkey, and then I like to take the gravy and put it on top of the turkey.
I don't know. It's probably something like Snickers apple pie or something.
It's sweet?
Oh, yeah. Everything I like is sweet.
You like turkey best, though, Brad?
Oh, yeah, for sure. If it's good turkey, man, it's hard to beat.
I think mine's the gravy because it goes on everything.
Gravy is great, but you can't have the gravy without
stuffing
the turkey.
or dressing with gravy on it.
In light
potatoes
of this,
with gravy on
story, I have other questions though.
Sure.
People are adopting the turkeys, but then on the Thanksgiving table, they're putting a picture of the actual turkey
of their adopted turkey,
and they're not eating
That's
turkey.
Dumb.
I don't know. The story just offered this as a scenario that was happening.
So you didn't
for
do the
some
reporting
people.
on this story.
I did not actually
you
go out
picked this up off the AP wire.
Yes. Yeah, the wires were just pointing to some people who are adopting them and putting pictures of them on their table.
I think we adopted a Arctic fox when I was on vacation with my daughter this summer.
That's nice.
Because she saw a bracelet and she said, "Oh, it includes an app and you get to adopt this Arctic fox." And I'm like, all right, if that's what you want, that's a little bit more than a stuffed animal, but great.
Not what I meant when I said pick something out. But
And, I mean, it wasn't super expensive,
Sure.
so I thought, okay, but what's the adoption process going to look like here? And so we download this app, and I'm like, oh no, I don't have the heart to tell her that there are 15,000 people that have adopted that one Arctic fox.
Same fox.
And it is tracking it. You can keep track. Oh, where's it going?
Is
Every
it
now
so
and then
cute?
it runs into a camera and you get to see it. So it's in the Himalayas
That's
somewhere.
way better than adopting a turkey.
I saw one where they adopted. It's kind of the same thing he's describing, but it was a sea turtle.
It's probably is it the bracelet
Yeah,
thing?
it's a bracelet, and
It's
then you
the
can
same
track
company.
their microchipped sea turtle.
Yeah,
Whatever.
but I think it's just one of each species. I don't think there
maybe.
are multiple animals. Everybody's adopting the same one of every animal.
Well, this one ended up in a fishing village.
Oh no!
Didn't end well.
Your turn.
All right, so my story is it's never been cooler to be an alien contactee. So this person did a night with with ET experiencers in New York City. So it says it's nearly 7 p.m. on the second Tuesday of the month, and Catherine Chappie is sitting at a home in Hottsville, Long Island, making preparations for a social highlight of her week.
Her name's Kathy Chappie.
Yeah, Kathy Chappie.
It's been a big show for names.
This is a virtual meeting with people who claim to have experienced close encounters with extraterrestrial life. And they say Chappie, a former electrician and ordained interspiritual minister.
Good thing she got ordained.
She went.
If she hadn't, I wouldn't have
She went
respected
to
the
a
title.
seminary for this. I didn't even know that was a thing. So she found herself in this role to the eclectic group and growing gathering that have had their own experiences with it. And they go on to talk about the 3IA Atlas. Have you heard of this thing?
Mm-mm.
So this is an interstellar object that people have been tracking that a lot of people on the internet believe is actually an alien spacecraft because they're like, NASA's not talking about it. And NASA's like, no, we are. It's an asteroid. And it's, spinning. And they're like, but it's slowing down. They're like, no, it isn't.
Or
anyway,
is it?
Or is it? Or are they lying? But
Well, she's got the title, so she'd know.
This story is just full of different people that say they have been abducted or have experienced close encounters with alien life forms. And so my serious question. What are these people actually experiencing? Or is it actually aliens?
Are they experiencing anything? It sounds like they're just tracking a meteor.
No. That's what the meeting was about. But the people that are at the meeting are people that have claimed to have had encounters with aliens. So from the people that have claimed to have been abducted to these fighter pilots that go on Capitol Hill and say, we don't know what these space things, these crafts are. We think that they're aliens.
You're just broad blanket.
Yeah.
Anybody that's had an
the people that are
experience,
saying
what
that,
is it if
yeah,
it's not aliens?
If it's not aliens, what do you think it is? Or do you think it's aliens?
Ryan?
I don't know what to do with that topic because the more and more stuff comes out from congressional testimony and real verifiable encounters, whether they be of the third kind or the second kind or whatever they are, the more that come out from people who you go, well, that guy's not crazy. There's something weird happening. And the detailed accounts that come out, you go, well, some of those I'm sure you can write off, but not all of them. So I don't know what they are, and especially the ones that involve spacecraft, because I used to think, well, if it's some sort of weird encounter with an alien, some of that can be spiritual and probably demonic. But I don't know why there would be demons being like, let's
In
also
spaceships.
build a spaceship. So there's so many categories to it too, that it really just overwhelms me, and I don't know what to do with it. And I'm kind of waiting for that hook to find and go, oh, that's what I think about this, but I don't know.
What do you think, Trisha?
Oh, aliens for
So
sure.
You're a believer.
Yeah.
Do you have a species in mind? Like, are you like, oh yeah, it's the grays or
I'm
the
not
greens?
an alien scientist.
You're not ordained
expert.
like
I'm
Chappie.
not, I'm not Chappie ordained. It's just for sure aliens.
For sure.
Do you think that organization that ordains people, do you think people ever try and they're like, we're not ordaining
you didn't pass.
Are you serious right now?
I tried to get ordained. They said no. You're no Chappie.
I'll tell you what, Ryan. I will send you the link to
Thank
the
you.
website, and I want you to try to get ordained as an interspiritual minister.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny because I get to officiate my brother's wedding next year.
Oh, yeah?
I wonder if that
Way
would
to
count.
save that.
I wonder if that would count. If I'm ordained by what's their group?
It's the interspiritual minister.
Oh, I was hoping it'd be something like a little crazier sounding.
Interstellar.
Interspiritual
maybe it is. I don't know,
minister.
but that's what they put in quotation marks in the article. The ones that are most convincing to me are the technological ones.
Yeah.
And to me, though, but if it's technology and you're not actually seeing flesh and blood aliens, I'm more apt to think that it's high tech, top secret stuff that the government is working on, be it ours or some other one, than it is something from outer space.
That's the best explanation that I've heard. But I just don't know. I mean, you don't have any opinion on this?
Aliens.
You're just like, it's all aliens for sure.
Definitely aliens.
She's like, I get off at 2:30. That's aliens.
That is for sure aliens.
I'm out.
See ya.
All right, see you, Trisha. Thanks for being here for Serious Questions. We'll be right back.
The Diamond Shop offers a whole lot of services. And I know that it's easy for me to say, like, oh, the holidays are here. You're going to get a Christmas gift. Go get some beautiful diamond stud earrings. That's always my go-to. If she doesn't have any yet, do that. You're a winner. I promise. It will be a very, very Merry Christmas for everybody. But the Diamond Shop does more than just have the absolute best quality, beautiful pieces of jewelry in stock. Of course, they sell jewelry. They sell engagement and wedding rings, fine jewelry, watches. But they do a few other things that I want to make sure that you know about. They do custom jewelry. They do jewelry and watch repair, appraisals. They also buy gold. So maybe this holiday season, it's not the new piece of jewelry. Maybe it's that heirloom piece of jewelry that is finally going to be restored and fixed, or the watch that gets made to be functioning again. Maybe it's a piece of jewelry that you've inherited that you want to transform into something that you actually will wear. All of these conversations start at the Diamond Shop. Go visit them in Clayton or online at thediamondshop.net.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh Radner, and I am so excited to tell you about How We Made Your Mother, a rewatch podcast looking back at How I Met Your Mother. And I'm here with Craig Thomas, who co-created the show along with Carter Bays. Hi, Craig.
Hey, Josh. Somehow it has been 20 years since the show premiered. I'm going to check the math on that. 10 years since it went off the air, and we thought that made this a perfect time to look back, see what the hell we did, and why the show still seems to resonate with fans around the world today.
Follow and listen to How We Made Your Mother wherever you get your podcasts.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago politician Dick Durbin. Now, Durbin has a new scheme. He's doing the dirty work to benefit corporate megastores. Durbin's bill could cut corners on your credit card security, putting your personal data at risk. Big chain retailers and warehouse stores want to inflate their profits, and liberal Dick Durbin would help them do it. Tell senators, say no to the megastores and Dick Durbin. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. What is more likely or more effective in changing someone's opinion? Is it love or is it information? We want to hear from you because you're going to be talking to family members at Thanksgiving, and conversations are going to come up, and this is just a useful skill in life. How do you convince somebody? How do you persuade somebody? So what's more important, love or information? Jump on Annie's YouTube page, vote in the poll, leave us a comment telling us why you voted the way you voted. We might read that comment on air. The time is 2:36. This time check is brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
From Festus to Freeburg, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Homegrown alligator, see you later, gotta hit the road.
The original way I was going to do that poll was which is more effective in changing someone's opinion. Same question, but the options would be love or truth. And after I talked to my wife about it last night, she said, well, it depends on, because you can convince somebody of something that's not true, too.
Right.
So it can't be truth, because I'm kind of approaching it biblically, love or truth, salt and light, that kind of thing. But if you're just talking about persuading somebody, which is really what this question is, it's not love or truth, because you could persuade somebody incorrectly. So I had to almost broaden that topic out a little bit to ask that question, love or information. I'll just read a comment or two, even though we're not going to do the results right away. I did peek at the results, and I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised at how sort of one-sided this poll is. I thought it'd be split. But I won't tell you which way it goes yet. You don't know. I'll read a comment here from Mouse Catcher, maybe? Is that the name? I'm trying to read it. Love.
No, that's mustache.
Mustache.
Don't read it.
Oh, okay. That's why it's all one word smashed together. He says, love. I'm reminded of something I heard long ago. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. Yeah, that's kind of where I thought this poll would come from. And that's kind of the answer that I thought we'd see a lot of. So thank you for that, mustache. Your name. That name's inappropriate, sir. I'm not reading that on these public broadcast
that
airwaves.
Mustached.
Okay.
So he has a mustache and a motorcycle.
Cool. Totally cool. I get where you're coming from. There's also a double meaning.
That's not inappropriate.
Okay, thank you. One story I do want to get to before we get to the next segment, which will include the results to the YouTube live chat poll, and then Mark Reardon will take over, is about crime. I'm going to give you some Chicago crime numbers from Bill. What's that?
Chicago
from Bill Hemmer.
100. Robberies, 5,200. Felonies, theft, 16,400. Whether it's the mayor or the police chief, I'd just be pissed off if I saw those numbers. I mean, enough is enough, Cata.
Well, we've been pissed off, and we became pissed off when Brandon Johnson actually took office and, moved to remove police officers from our Chicago public schools. And, we're seeing this violence. We're seeing it being perpetrated with our youth. So we know that there's an issue with youth, and we know that it is starting in the schools.
So if you're wondering about this data, I've got an article here that I've been waiting on for a while for it to fit into the conversation. It's got a big picture of J.B. Pritzker on it. I think this is a national article, though.
A really big picture.
But Pritzker has been at the center of this whole thing, and so has Chicago. So, of course, that clip fits. It says Trump's DOJ has found evidence that Dems are skewing crime stats. Now, this was just ahead of the midterm elections, but this is from Charlie Gasparino from the end of October. It says officials in President Trump's Justice Department have been scrutinizing crime data in recent months. They've found evidence that Democrat politicians, not Republicans.
Yeah.
And I'd call out both sides. The whole beginning of the show is us calling out both sides.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just saying this is just Democrats doing it. They've been skewing crime stats for their own benefit ahead of the midterm elections. Of course, this was about a month ago. Illinois Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker is a vocal opponent of Trump's use of federal troops for both immigration enforcement and fighting big blue city crime, and has lately touted double-digit declines in Chicago crime rates, where quote, shootings and homicides on our highways are down 60, 70, 80%, depending on where you look. That's the quote from him. But the number of felonies in Chicago, not to mention New York, Los Angeles, Portland, is declining only because woke prosecutors are knocking down felonies to something less severe for political reasons, DOJ sources say. Is anybody really surprised by this? This is the kind of story that makes you go, duh.
I'm frustrated by it, though. Because, like, whenever you look at this, the reason that they're doing it is to make it look like their policies aren't failing in this area.
Yeah.
And when your policies are failing in crime areas, that means that you're willing to hurt your populace, because that's what happens with crime. Innocent people are harmed. That's why crime is crime. You harm innocent people to maintain your ideological ideas.
Yeah.
And that's disgusting to me.
You're harming people for your personal benefit.
Your personal benefit.
For your career.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
It's ridiculous. Rather than, like, fixing it, they'd rather keep their ideas, though.
Yeah, that's right. We're not going to actually fix crime, but I know how to fix the way crime looks. We're in charge of those numbers. Famous among these kinds of people is Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan district attorney, who has continued to allow violent offenders to plead to misdemeanors instead of felonies, even after committing robberies or violent assaults. This is one of the areas that I'm a little surprised that Trump hasn't gotten more credit, because he really does want to solve crime. Now, he does it in a pretty heavy-handed way, but that's because the situation demands it. We're just not in a place where you can go, oh, well, these people are going to lie to you. Obviously, they're doing it, and they're going to continue to let you be hurt unless somebody does something about it.
Well, the thing about it is you have to do the heavy-handed thing, because we've tried the soft on crime thing for the last 4 years, and what we're seeing is the numbers are bad. Crime is going in the wrong direction. You're getting more of it, not less of it. So you have to try the heavy-handed thing. This is the changing course thing that I was just talking about. Doing something different to actually fix it.
The story is from Fox News. It says when the DOJ's stats are released, possibly in the coming weeks, so they may actually be out by now, but I haven't seen them, they should be a wake-up call for the Democrat Party. That's because these big city economies will continue to sour as more tax-paying residents leave for places that provide safety. Of course, the Dem leadership must also find the necessary guts to push back against the woke policies and policing edicts of far leftists like AOC and Zohran Mamdani, who at the time wasn't even elected yet, but they are ascendant in their party. DOJ sources believe Pritzker's recent talking points are part of a concerted effort by national Democrats to hide the various forms of blight created by their support for police defunding. One clip that's been making the rounds today that I didn't even grab because I forgot that would play into this so well is that representative, she's running in Tennessee outside of Nashville. And you may have heard this because I think Mark played it. I was on Mark Cox's morning show when he played it. I heard Kilmeade play it as well. That she's a representative who has said, defund the police, defund the police, defund the police. And she even had one tweet that was like, good morning to everybody but those who want to fund the police, or something ridiculous. It was so obvious that she's against policing. She is for, I don't know, more crime. I'm not really sure what you're for when you're for defunding the police. More social workers. It's just not, doesn't work. But she's out there and doing interviews, and one of them was on MSNBC. I don't know why she's gotten famous other than that her policies are that bad and she's so bold about her bad policies, and she's running for House of Representatives in Tennessee. And she's in a blue area, but she says stuff that you're like, really? Even Democrat usually aren't okay with that. Polling-wise, they're not okay with it.
Yeah.
Maybe some are, but not all of them. And she was given the opportunity for a layup on MSNBC. Here's some tweets you had said in the past about defunding the police. Do you still believe this? And she goes, I'm not here to talk about some old tweets I don't even remember. And then the interview, again, MSNBC, friendly territory, says, okay, but let's say, even if you don't remember the tweets, what about the topic itself? Do you support defunding the police? And she goes, I'm here to talk about my race, which is literally 9 days from now. I'm not even sure what we're doing here. You're using cable news talking points. MSNBC is having her on for a layup interview, and she's criticizing them for using talking points against her.
Yeah, MSNBC is like, all right, Ms. Now.
Yeah, MS Now.
They're like, we need to flip this seat. Please say something intelligent.
And she couldn't do it So she basically said again in that interview, yes, I want to defund the police. Without coming out and saying it. She didn't disavow her past remarks. She didn't even disavow the idea of defunding the police. She just avoided it. And it's so easy because so many of these politicians, they talk out of both sides of their mouth, and we all know that they do it, and it happens on both sides of the aisle. But with that issue specifically, you had a lot of Dems, especially in 2020, who said, yeah, defund the police, or some form of that, if it wasn't directly that quote. And then since then, like Biden did, came back out and said, oh, I was never really for that. Even if you have some quote of me, that's not my point.
Yeah,
or I've switched, and yeah, that was stupid. That was a boneheaded thing to say. They've come out and said, yeah, that was a bad idea, even if they don't mean it. She couldn't even come out and say it and not mean it. That's how bad she was at doing this and how devoted she is to defunding the police.
Well, that's that whole ideological thing that I was talking about with these politicians that are fudging numbers to make it look like bad policies are good policies, that bad crime policy is actually working. They're more dedicated to the idea than they are the actual results. So it tells me that they're not really concerned about actually making the situation better. They're concerned about being right.
Exactly. We're going to take a short break and come back and give you the results of this poll. Which is more effective in changing someone's opinion, love or information? Which is more effective? Not necessarily which one do you use, but I would think that you would probably lean toward that one if you think it's more effective. But what do you think? Love or information? Which is going to change someone's mind? We'd like to know what you think. We'll give the results to that poll when we come back, and then Mark Reardon will take over at 3.
I'll be riding shotgun.
Do something that means something. Roll up your sleeve at the Odyssey Blood Drive in partnership with the American Red Cross, December 16th through the 19th at multiple locations. Make an appointment in the Red Cross Blood Donor app or at redcrossblood.org. Enter sponsor code Odyssey for a drive near you.
PointPestControl.com, point with an E. Call 636-798-0023 and throw my name out there when you ring them, because you're going to get a 10% discount on the top of any specials that Point Pest Control has going at that moment. And you know me, I want them spiders dead. That's why I hired Point Pest Control, but they do a lot more than spiders. But I mean, like, if you have one spider, you need to make one phone call, and that's to Point Pest Control. There are other issues that you're facing right now, potentially ants. You've tried to do the go down to the big box store to get the ant solution thing. It kills them for 2 days and then they're back, and then it's the bane of your existence. Point Pest Control will get rid of them once and for all. I myself am a Premier Service Plan subscriber. I have quarterly service done to my house. The treatment is safe for my kids. It's safe for my pets. It is not safe for the pests, which is why I hired them. And you should as well. 636-798-0023. Ants, spiders, crickets, mice, rodents, whatever it might be, get rid of them with Point Pest Control. Point with an E, pointpestcontrol.com.
Doesn't it feel like you hear all the time from retired friends and family, I wish someone had told me this before I retired? Or why didn't anybody tell me this? Why is this not a class? Well, that's exactly why Financial and Tax Architects was founded. FTA keeps hardworking families in St. Louis make sense of retirement. They show them how to keep more of what they've earned and how to make it last. That way you can get some sleep at night. You don't have to second guess every expense leading up to retirement. You understand what's going on. Their Retirement Planning 101 class is a practical, no-cost course. They teach it at local colleges. It's just one night. You learn strategies to reduce taxes, plan your income, make confident decisions about Social Security and taxes and inflation. And FTA focuses on education. They try to change the way you retire. Call 888-5101 or go to fta-ria.com to register.
Hi, it's Mark Cox. When I endorse a product or service on the radio, I take it seriously. I do my research. I did the same when I first met Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty over 5 years ago. Gloria is here in studio today, and I'll ask the same question I asked you when we first met and before you helped me sell my home. Gloria, tell us, what sets you apart from other agents?
Well, number one is my guaranteed offers. I'm so confident that I'll sell your home at 100% of market value, or I'll pay the difference. Number two is I already have the buyers, so your home may already be sold. I literally have thousands of buyers in my Buyers in Waiting program. This is how I'm able to create higher demand, more offers, and that means more money in your pocket.
Friends, get to know Gloria Lou like I have. Upfront written guarantees with the least hassle. Call Gloria Lou right now at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Did she say? What you say? That you only meant when.
I don't know anything about this song other than the sketch that Andy Samberg did with the gunshots. It was a parody of some show, wasn't it? The OC or something?
You did, yeah. You didn't have your headphones on but the beginning bounces left to right.
Yeah.
That is like it scratches an itch in my brain. I really liked that. Like, ooh.
Well, if you're in your car, maybe you heard it go from left to right speaker. I did not hear it. We're going to talk about the poll here, and then Mark Reardon's going to take over. Which is more effective in changing someone's opinion, love or information? Brad.
Well, you read a comment earlier about this, and the person said this, and I believe this. I've experienced it. I think that this holds true, that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So, like, if you're asking me how am I going to vote on this poll, it's love, but it's love with information. I mean, you can't just, like, the real answer is presenting information in a loving way. Ben Shapiro's thing is facts don't care about your feelings, and facts are facts regardless of how you feel about them. But people are emotional beings, and you have to appeal to their emotions, especially if you're trying to persuade, which is what you said this is about. This is about persuasion. You want to know why the left is able to get so many people riled up? It's because they play on their emotions. You know, they don't have to present the truth if they can make them feel like what they're doing is right. And whenever you stop and think about some of the things that are presented, things like universal health care. On the surface, if you don't dig down deep and think about it, it's like, oh yeah, why shouldn't we be able to provide people with health care? That would be a really nice thing. That makes you feel good on the inside. And so that's why people pursue that and they buy into that, but they don't think about the information about, like, what will it actually mean later on down the road.
Okay, separate topic just because we have a couple minutes before I give the results here, but you mentioned it with healthcare. We're jumping really quick here.
Big jump.
Yeah, big jump and big topic. Do you think, let's say that this was the poll question, you had to just answer it quickly. Do you think that Trump and Republicans are going to be able to work with Democrats to do something to change the healthcare system? Because they're trying to right now. But I just don't know if it'll happen. What do you think?
Trump and Republicans will be able to work with Democrats. Democrats will not be able to work with Trump.
Will there be enough Democrats that just voted to reopen the government for, say, those seven?
Those would kind of be the ones that you would really have to target. I think a Fetterman would be willing to look at it. I think that they're because, like,
there's probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, the line out there from Democrats on this have been, we know that Obamacare is not great, but what are you offering that's better? So it is time to say, this is what we're offering, this is why it's better. So that way we don't have to eat the crap sandwich that is the ACA. That you're offering us with a smile.
The healthcare is out of control.
It's bad. Everybody agrees on that.
Everybody agrees, and Democrats just want to refund it and just keep pumping money into it right now anyway. Maybe that'll change.
So there's hope. Maybe only a fool's hope, but there's hope.
Because I don't even love the proposals that are coming out that much. They seem like better than what we currently have proposals. And this was a whole topic I was really hoping to get into today, but we've just had a pretty busy day. Yeah. I had all kinds of sound on it. But it's a really tricky on-the-line issue for me, the way this is going about, which actually gives me hope that they might happen. Mm-hmm. Because if this was a conservative proposal, you wouldn't get Democrats. What I'm seeing about it is that it's not really a conservative proposal. It's a change that would help, but I just don't know what it's going to do to the budget. I don't know any of that stuff.
I think you need to be able to create competition within the market. And that's like the biggest flaw of the ACA. There's no competition. It guarantees healthcare. So they're not competing with one another.
So the question being, which is more effective in changing someone's opinion? This is the poll today. Love or information? My answer to this is also love. But I think this sums it up pretty well. I'm going to read a comment here from Lori. Says, poll information, she says. I've seen videos of Caitlin Bennett and Charlie Kirk when they're live. Many people would say they were talking, yelling at them. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the wrong comment. That's still valid. Thank you, Lori. Jimmy says both love and information need to be used together. Ultimately, yes, that's true. People need to know how much you care before they will open themselves up to your ideas. Happy Thanksgiving. So I don't know exactly how he voted, but yeah, that's the struggle there. You kind of need both. How does this poll end? Well, surprisingly, overwhelmingly for information. 75% of you said information is more effective in changing someone's mind than love.
151 votes.
Interesting. All right. Well, I know where you're coming from. I think that you do need to have at least the relationship, the love there. Although, who are you talking to? You talking to somebody online?
Yeah. You've got to earn the right to present the information.
You kind of do. Although on Twitter, you're not really. You're just the Battle Dome. But anyway, we're going to break here and let Mark take over. Annie will be back tomorrow, and we will see you. If we don't see you before then, happy Thanksgiving.
It's time now for today's Spotlight on Money.
AI can make your brain turn flabby. Tech expert Paul Hochman in Cambridge, Massachusetts says thinking keeps your brain in fighting shape, and research is already starting to map